and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, we got to watch the starters play in the preseason on defense, not on offense. Preseason week number 2 coming our way this Thursday. We'll react to week 1, what we want to see in week 2. And the Phillies, they took game 1, and it sucked the rest of the way. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I believe it would be a failure for the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, if they do not win the NFC East. The Eagles have had a quiet training camp.
And to me, I look at it and say, it's wonderful to have peace and serenity out in South Philly.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you.
I hope you had a wonderful weekend.
It was a good weekend, you?
Well, not watching the Phillies.
No, the Phillies sort of stunk. Connor didn't do his part.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Connor Thomas back from Arizona.
At the he got to
What do
watch.
you want me to do?
He got to watch 2 games in the dark Costco.
Yeah. He also got there after they won the first game of the series, and then they lost the 3 when he was in the area. So thanks a lot, Connor. Way to go. We appreciate your,
Listen, man.
your part in the downfall of the Philadelphia Phillies.
I was tweeting them, telling them to put me on the bump at that Junior Marte night.
Yeah, Junior Marte.
Saturday, I could have gone out there.
Is horrible.
Yeah, it was a pretty crappy weekend.
Yeah, it was a crappy weekend when it came to the Phillies, and I do want to start with them. But, of course, the Eagles, they have their preseason game. We'll react to that. The starters defensively, majority of the starters defensively played. There were some of the older players, as Nick Sirianni said, that didn't play, and you didn't expect a lot of those guys to play. But the defense did have a lot of starters out there, including young players like a Jalen Carter. But then, obviously, offensively, when it looked like they were going to play, because they were even warming up on the sideline in pads right before the game started, when they all go back to the locker room before they get introduced, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, they come out in shorts and a T-shirt, and you're going, oh, okay, so I guess these guys aren't playing. So we'll talk about that, but I do want to start with the Phillies because that was a horrible, horrible, horrible series. You win game 1, and this was my thing, John, when I love that you saw something different out of the Phillies. Game 3 against the Mariners, that series against the Dodgers, and look, they won. They took 2 or 3 against the Dodgers. I can't poo-poo that.
Yeah, last 2 against Mariners and then 3 against the Dodgers. I'm like, okay, they've turned a corner, and then they win the opening game against Arizona.
And when they won the opening
look like they're
game,
on a little bit of a roll.
When they win the opening game, I'm like, all right. But that was the Allard start. Right, like they still had Zach Wheeler. They still had Aaron Nola. They still had Christopher Sanchez. So we're sitting here Friday morning, you and I going, oh, my God, well, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're gonna split.
Yes.
It would be great if they
and
take
then
3 or 4.
win the season series.
Right. It would be great if they take 3 or 4. Hell, maybe they could sweep because it's Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez the rest of the way. They lost games 2, 3, and 4. And that's why I was not ready to say that they turned the corner. Now, let me make it clear once again. I don't think they're going to lose the division. I think they'll be okay come playoff time. It's just nice to actually feel joy watching the Phillies, and it has not been a joyful experience. And when you think they turn the corner, they drop 3 straight, and they lose 3-2, which, okay, it happens. 11-1 and 12-5, they look lifeless.
They look lifeless, and more importantly, terrible defense. Absolutely horrendous defense played. A lot of mistakes. I had a Major League Baseball player I spoke to yesterday, had a little conversation with, who said to me, though, something that made me feel good.
Okay.
He told me, he said, John, he goes, you know what the Phillies are, and he believes they have ADD right now. He thinks getting out to the big lead, and with the Braves and the Mets not able to really muster any kind of real charge at them, he thinks that they're sort of hit a lethargy. He said, you already know what that roster can do when the lights are brightest in prime time. They can go out and put together a 2-week streak, 2.5-week streak, where they look like world beaters. He said they tend to respond well to that. He guaranteed me that it's going to happen again. And I know enough people around baseball that have always told me that about this Phillies team compared to the way they showed against the Braves the last 2 years just shows they have the DNA to go, yeah, we don't care what our record is or whatever. Oh, bright lights, we can show up and we can do it. Yes, they gagged it last year against Arizona, who I think is a better baseball team than them. I think the Arizona Diamondbacks
Wait, what?
I think that's
I
one
think
of
the
the most,
Arizona
that's one of the
Diamondbacks,
most ridiculous things I've ever heard you say.
They are smarter in every aspect of the game than
But they're
the
not.
Phillies.
They're not.
No. They're not as talented.
Yes.
They're not as talented. They showed again this weekend, though, why they beat the Phillies last year in the postseason.
Then you could say they are better fundamentally, but you can't say that they're a better baseball team.
They're not as talented baseball team, but their players do a lot more with less. A lot more
Okay,
with
that
less.
doesn't make them a better baseball team.
Really? They're
them a
the
better
National League
baseball
champs,
team.
and they just whooped your ass again. What do you want? Wait. Don't be Billy Big Balls today.
Johnny,
they just
I
whooped
will
you.
tell you, you're
They just whooped them
100%
again.
not.
This is
They're
the
not a better
craziest thing I've
baseball
heard you
team.
say in a long time.
It's not. They're better.
Dude, John,
They are-
what
they
are
are-
you watching? That
they
you
are-
think the Arizona Diamondbacks are a better baseball team than the Philadelphia Phillies?
They play fundamentally sound.
Okay.
They know how to play the game correctly.
There are a lot
They
of
play-
little league teams that know how to play the game correctly. That doesn't make them better than the
Yeah,
Phillies.
the Phillies played like a little league team this weekend. Did you?
Sure.
You saw it in person?
Yes, but that
Sure.
doesn't
They
make
played
them
like a little league team.
lesser team than the Diamondbacks.
There are talented teams, and then there are teams that are better teams that play together, that work together. I'm telling you right now, you got a huge liability at shortstop that is just lost. You have holes defensively. This team is terrible defensively.
They're better defensively
They're-
than teams that have gone to the World Series in the NLCS. This team's better defensively than last year's team.
Wow, then you're not.
Last year's team had Kyle Schwarber play like 80 games in left field.
This team for 2 months has been a terrible defensive team. Again, you can be talented. The Dodgers and the Braves were more talented than the Phillies the last 2 years.
Yeah. I'm not
And they
saying the
both
Phillies are infallible.
And they both got sent home in the first round without winning anything 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's
talent.
not the conversation. You're absolutely right.
The
But
talented team isn't the better team.
they are legitimately the talented team is the better team. That's the
Really?
same thing.
Okay.
100% the same
I'll
thing.
take the team that the team that is the better team is the team that shows up and wins. This team,
The Phillies have shown up to win like all season long.
Again, the Dodgers and the Braves showed you the last 2 years. You can be the more talented team, and you can get sent home because you don't play either. You gag it up at the worst time, or you play stupid baseball. This team plays stupid baseball. They are not a smart team.
Well-
They are not, and they get hound dog, hunch shoulders, head down.
But here's the thing. It's an interesting way to look at it. I'm going to compare it to another game that we watched just last week, and you ripped the team that won. And I know this is coming out of left field.
Right.
Team USA versus Team Serbia.
Well, yeah.
Hold on. You were highly critical of Team USA losing going into the fourth quarter. That Serbian team, except for Jokic and Bogdanovic, they play all year together.
Gotcha.
Together, right? As
Yeah.
a team.
Gotcha.
But you ripped Team USA for being down in the fourth quarter.
'Cause not one- 'cause-
Those guys rolled the ball out and tried to play with one another.
Because other than maybe Bogdanovic for Halliburton, you had most likely not one player on Serbia other than Jokic makes the U.S. roster.
Okay, I could say the exact same thing about the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. The Diamondback, there are if you go just straight up 1 through 9, Phillies versus Diamondbacks, there's not many players that you would go, oh, that guy should start
Who's
over
arguing?
that guy.
I'm not arguing with you. Again, I'm not arguing with you that if we're playing rotisserie baseball or playing, we're out there going to play a video game, the name brand, the player with more talent.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball shows you over and over again. You got to play as a team, and you have to play smart baseball. You have to know how to throw to the right base when guys are on base. This weekend, 3 different times, they throw to the wrong base, giving up an extra base to the Diamondbacks to be able to advance because they don't know how to play fundamental baseball in August. They are a very talented team, and I have not wavered at all. I'll bet anything that they're going to win the division. But if you're resting your laurels on, well, they're more talented, that's going to matter. This is a team, it should annoy this city that they play such stupid baseball.
It does.
And that they are so undisciplined, and I don't know what, and I'm going to hear it from people going, oh my gosh, they're a great hitting team. No, they're not. They're not a great hitting team. They have terrible approaches at the plate. terrible. And some great players have bad approaches at the plate. There's so many innings. I got a 9, I got an 11, I got an 8. Diamondbacks go out and make the Phillies pitcher throw 31 pitches, 29 pitches, 25 pitches, and the Phillies throw up an 8-pitch inning. Because they're just up there swinging out of their backsides like they're at freaking Topgolf and not producing. And they keep doing it. That's who we are.
Well,
That's what we
That's
do.
their organizational philosophy.
Then they need a new hitting coach because it's a terrible philosophy.
Oh, you can't say it's a terrible philosophy. But again, they have 69 wins this season.
No, I
they
can
have
tell
the
you-
best record in baseball. I can't say that it's a terrible philosophy when it's gotten them a World Series and an NLCS.
It is a terrible philosophy because I prefer, maybe you don't, it's up to you. I prefer a team. I want my team to play smart baseball.
So it's hang on. It's terrible because you don't like it, or it's terrible because it doesn't work?
Because I do not like smart. I do not like it when people do not play smart baseball.
Okay,
but
well,
it's not
I
I do not
winning
like
baseball.
I do not like a. That's hey, the opposing. I don't know. And Ruben Amaro Jr. God bless you, because you have absolute ethics. Working on the Phillies broadcast, you have ethics, Ruben Amaro, because you'll say, "Wow, this guy just walked the batter, and what are you doing? Swinging at the first pitch out of the zone. What the hell are you doing?"
Right, that's bad.
It's a stupid approach.
That's not Kevin Long in his ear saying, "Hey, swing at the first pitch
That's
out
where you
of
have
the zone."
No, but what you do is there's meetings before every single team comes in. The hitting coach has a meeting, pitching coach has a meeting. They talk about approaches to pitchers. You go out there and you see guys walking batters, not throwing strikes. And what do? Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, they swing at the first pitch out of the zone and not throwing them strikes. If you see, Arizona did it again this weekend.
Yeah, they did it again because it worked in the NLCS.
They didn't throw them strikes.
Yeah.
And the Phillies just said, okay, we're up here. Let us swing at it. No approach at the plate. And again, I'm going to give T-Mac and I'm going to give Ruben Amaro Jr. a hell of a lot of credit. There are a lot of team broadcasters that do not have the guts to say what they saw. They saw horrible baseball this weekend and a horrible approach against the team that did it to you last fall. I would imagine that it would have meant a little bit more. They sleptwalked through a weekend, and it's unacceptable. Do I think they're going to win the East? Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. But that weekend, this is the first time watching that I've been really pissed because it was horrendous.
So let me ask you, are you back to they haven't turned the corner?
Oh, no.
Because I couldn't get there yet, even though I felt great when they took 2 or 3 against the Dodgers. They take game 1 against Arizona, and then they crap the bed.
When you win 3 games in a row and then you blow 3 games the way that they did. And I'll tell you, the Wheeler start, head went on the pillow, I was fine. Now Connor, it must have been worse for you.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Because you're there. I went to bed after that and was like,
yeah, that happens.
I don't have any problem with that.
It's games 3 and 4 when you don't show up.
And you play horrible baseball. I do not know, and I swear to you, I do not know how a major league outfielder doesn't know what base to throw the ball in on when you've got a guy going first to third and they're throwing it to third. They're throwing it to third and not even having any play on the runner going to third. None. And they're throwing it to third and letting the guy have second base. And it happened this weekend. It happened 3 times. That's Little League. That is Little League World Series stuff. And they don't know how to execute. So either they're not listening or they're not being told, guys.
Well, there's no headset.
No.
That's an instinctual play if you're trying to throw a guy out of third.
It is. What you do is you're trying to make the hero play, which is what happens when teams are pressing, and the Phillies are still pressing.
And you know what they say is, when it happens once, Andrew or Connor, when it happens once, you say, don't do it again. Stop giving up the extra base. And they did it 3 times. They did it 3 freaking times because they don't know what base to throw to.
Listen,
that's Little League stuff.
It is, but it's very hard in the moment, and it should be done by Major League Baseball players every single time. But you're going to see guys around baseball with the arms these guys have, the ability they believe they have to try and make the hero play, especially when the team's scuffling. You think you make that throw, you build momentum, you cut down a runner in a big spot, and the next thing you know, you think that risk you take paid off.
Who do you think has that arm? I love Rojas.
Yes.
God forbid, though, that we actually play the best defensive player on the team. But, I like Rojas's, his arm. I don't think he's got a great arm.
No,
by any stretch of the imagination.
Solid,
none of them are Roberto Clemente, but
Marsh doesn't have a great arm.
But they're all
by any stretch.
major league outfielders.
Yeah.
Like they do have good arms.
Like,
No. That's
guys
right.
out.
But I don't think guys making hero plays make smart plays. You're struggling. You're in a tailspin for 2 months.
Well, and that's what Connor just said. They're struggling, so they're probably trying to do a little bit
Okay, well then
too
you
much.
have to say it didn't work last night, guys. You're trying to play hero ball, so stop doing it.
Right.
And then you do it again the next night, and you do it again the next night because the manager, there's no urgency.
That's
What are you going
the
to do?
mentally tough
Bench
thing
everybody
about-
and
yeah.
No, you
play
have to
Weston Wilson in the outfield and put Schwarber back out there for a game?
How do you think Charlie Manuel would have handled it?
No, Charlie Manuel would have benched somebody for not running down the first baseline.
Fundamental baseball, Charlie Manuel would have had a bird. Would have had a freaking bird if they're making stupid little league decisions. This team doesn't play smart baseball. And yes, they're very, very talented. And I thought they'd win the division in the spring. I think they're going to win it in the fall. But it's about winning in October. And when you're playing 24 and 30 over 2 months, that's bad. That's bad.
And they haven't turned the corner, and they showed that.
Again, a Major League Baseball player saying to me yesterday, though, he goes, "You're out of your mind. This team's so good. He thinks the big lead has given them like ADD.
Interesting.
He thinks that they are."
And then they play the Dodgers, which is a good opponent, and they play great baseball.
And that's
take 2
exactly
and 3.
exactly the point that I was told. Well, what's their record against the Braves and against the Dodgers and the Brewers? What's their record? I said 8-1. His case closed.
Yeah.
He goes, this team knows how to turn it on when they do, and he also expects them that they're going to do that coming up soon.
Well, all I can tell, the biggest fact out of all this is that John got plenty of rest this weekend.
Oh, I did.
You're kind Dude,
I seriously.
you're a new John Kincade this
Shot
morning.
out of a freaking cannon.
So, look, we're going to get some Phillies reaction from you as well. You can text in. You can call in at 610-632-0975. I wasn't really feeling like they turned the corner. I felt good.
You had more trepidation about it. Connor wasn't here with us.
Right.
You had more trepidation about it than I did.
I just
really
wasn't
did.
ready to say that they turned the corner because there were some losses where it's like, wow, that's a kick in the nuts. How many more times can you get kicked in the nuts? I get kicked in the nuts once. I don't want it to happen again, right? Then they took 2 or 3 against the Dodgers, and they win game 1 against Arizona. I go, all right, maybe. And then they just crap the bed the rest of the series. Do you believe that they're still in this down spot? Do you think it was a West Coast trip, and that's the reason why it happened? Because going into the weekend, John, we go, man, if they take 2 more games, they won 6.
I just wanted one.
Right.
To win the weekend. I said a split, I'd be fine, and to win the season series. Now you better hope Diamondbacks don't win the division. And that ends up being a problem.
Absolutely. All right, and then when it comes to the Eagles, so the preseason game took place on Friday. It's our first chance on the air to be able to react to it. And we'll dive deeper into the game, some of the things that we like, some of the things that we didn't like. But obviously, there was a lot of talk that the starters were going to play. I remember the tweet from Jeff McClain that the starters were going to play. Their starters, both offensively and defensively, were warming up. And then when it came time to coming out of the huddle, the offensive players weren't even dressed, and not a single reporter, I think, reported that they weren't playing. Like, I don't think anyone knew until they came out of the tunnel.
Nobody had.
Everyone was expecting it. I'm Chris Franklin. I'm doing the pregame show. Think about this. I'm doing the pregame show here on The Fanatic talking about the starters offensively because people are posting videos of the starters warming up. There's Mekhi Becton at right guard, leading a block for Saquon Barkley. And I'm like, oh, wow, the Stars are going to play. This is awesome.
I think Spud and Dave Spadaro and Ross Tucker were surprised.
I think, yeah, right?
I think they were surprised. I think that I think they expected to see them for a little bit, especially when the weather broke. Because even in the stand-up that they pre-record,
right,
they were like, well, the weather broke, so we're probably going to get to see some. Nope.
So here's Nick Sirianni. I'm going to play 2 clips for you, and it makes me laugh. Here's Nick Sirianni talking about why the offense didn't play.
The chance of the weather how it was all day. It feels a little wet when we got out there. Just wanted to have a clean operation. Didn't want to put them on something that I felt like with any of the weather could have been a little messy. I didn't want to give them. I want to give them a clean track.
Oh, jeez.
All right,
then
so
Thursday night, right?
I will say this. Listening to the pregame report of the field on my way home from the pregame show, I was told via the person who does that that the field was in perfect
And
condition.
I said it looked great.
Because the tarp was on top all day. The rain didn't hit the way that it expected it to. So I call bull on Nick Sirianni.
And they have the ground irrigate, the sucking down of,
Right.
the water system.
Just say, hey, we didn't want to play the offense today. Because what's funny is you talk about the weather being the reason why you didn't want to play the offense. But screw you, defense. Take a listen.
The operation's a little bit different for the defense. Obviously, they don't handle the ball every down. A couple of the defense starters that I did take out were older guys, but it was more about the operation and wanted to make sure that the weather was clean. Now the weather held off, but I know they're wrong a lot on the weather reports.
Wait,
What?
Seriously, the defense, the offense has one advantage. They know where they're going.
Right.
The defense has to react. Bad field or any field error should worry you about defense more than offense.
I just find it funny.
Oh, my gosh.
The weather's the reason why the offense didn't play, but the weather's the reason why the defense did play because it held up. I find that hilarious. So we'll dive deeper into it because you know how I feel. I want starters to play at least in the first preseason game. I am now not playing them this Thursday.
Oh, we're going to fight.
All right, we'll talk about
We're going to fight. No, we're going to fight more.
Okay, good. Also, we don't believe that there's an issue between Sirianni and Fangio, but they clearly have a difference of opinion when it comes to the preseason. So I'll play you another clip from Nick Sirianni on his belief of the importance of preseason, and then Vic Fangio's. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A tough weekend in Arizona. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty
Kincade Salciunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
It is 6:30 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On this beautiful Monday morning, we got through the rain on Friday. It wasn't all that bad.
No, it wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was.
Rain?
Yeah, exactly. You were in Arizona, handing Phillies losses. Thanks.
Hey, stop putting this on me.
Every time. No, I got when I left for Lithuania is when the season started falling apart. So I'm going to flip it right back to you. The season turned around until you went to Arizona, so it's your fault now.
Ouch. I was just trying to have
Exactly.
a vacation.
They played a little better when I was away, so I got some vacation coming up. Maybe they'll turn it on.
Maybe they'll turn things around.
Maybe
then.
they'll turn it on again.
So yeah, I mean, we got a beautiful week ahead of us, which is awesome, and hopefully it's a beautiful week of Phillies baseball when they return home and they play some lesser opponents, and maybe that's the best medicine. But we'll see, and we'll get to some text messages coming up. I know people are chiming in about the Phillies, as they should be, because that was a very frustrating weekend of Phillies baseball when it looked like they may have turned the corner and they win game one of the series after taking 2 or 3 against the Dodgers. And then they just pee away. I can't even say they pee away. They didn't show up.
No, they didn't show up.
Games 3 and 4 of this series, they got freaking manhandled.
No, they look terrible.
They
look terrible.
Aaron Nola throwing cookies in game 3. Christopher Sanchez, speaking of cookies, I mean, I know that Rob Thompson said that he thought he pitched well. That's great and all. That guy was giving up hit after hit after hit with 12. Oh, my God, 12 hits he allowed yesterday.
There have been very, very few starts in a year and a half that Sanchez has pitched like that.
Correct.
To me, hall pass.
Right, I got you.
Complete hall pass. Aaron Nola, I watched that first inning the other night, and they get 2 gifts to load the bases. Can't take advantage of it. Can't get a runner home from third with 1 out, which, by the way, was an all-weekend thing. And then I tweeted, no doubt, Nola go for ball incoming. And within a minute and a half, 2 minutes, here it was.
Yep.
Right off the bat. His ability to, he comes to a small kitchen fire with a gas can. I mean, he has just not been up to snuff.
It's funny, we were talking about this before the show, and Connor's not wrong. Like, as long as it's good come playoff time, which it has been.
In the beginning of the playoffs, he always is very good.
And it's just, I basically said, all right, the next 6 years, 'cause it's a 7-year contract, I'm just not going to watch any Aaron Nola start during the regular season because I know how I'm going to get frustrated. And then come playoffs, I'll turn the TV on for his starts. Everyone else I'll watch. It's just Aaron Nola during the regular season. I can't watch.
May I do something we have not done in the history of this show?
What's that?
Connor, I want a poll question.
Wow, dude, this is a big day for you.
I want you to ask it, and I want you to ask it exactly as I say it, if you guys agree that it's fair. Is the more talented baseball team the better baseball team? Yes or no? That's a fair question. Is the more talented baseball team the better baseball team? Because you guys looked at me like I was like speaking in I don't know. Can you speak in hieroglyphics? I don't think you can. I think those are drawings. And you guys looked at me like, well, that's not. I swear to you, I'm baffled by both of your points of view on this.
No,
and I want to hear from people on it too.
I get what you're saying. It's just I can't sit here today and say that the Arizona Diamondbacks
they're not as talented as the Phillies. They're a better baseball team.
Who are you putting your money on?
They play the game better. Right now, I got to tell you, right now, I would not want to play them in the postseason. I think right now in the postseason, I would take Arizona. I'm being honest.
I would still take the Phillies.
I'd take the Phillies. I would think twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Please ask that question, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Say that one more time for me.
Is the more talented baseball team the better baseball team?
Okay.
Yes or no? Simple question, and it is not skewed in any way the way it's asked. And I think that I'll be surprised how this one turns out because you guys are clearly on one side of it, and I'm clearly on another.
I'm just very proud of you that you've stooped down to our levels.
Oh, I'm stupid.
And you're going with the Twitter poll. I can't wait.
You don't understand how hard the pre-show was.
Yeah.
To not explode. To just want to. I had so much I want to get off my chest after a weekend. A lot of pool time.
Yeah, it's good.
So
You sent me a photo from you
of pool time.
at the pool. That was great. And then
a lot of pool time.
And then you popped off for about 15 minutes, and I appreciated it. All right, we'll get to the text line in a second. Here's Nick Sirianni talking about the importance of the preseason.
joint practices are always, every practice that we have is so important. The intensity with which you practice, the habits that you have at practice. And then when you get to go against somebody else, and then now you go from competing against each other to competing with each other. And I think that's awesome. That's part of what brings people close together in football, right? We battle against each other day in, day out, offensive coaches, defense coaches, offensive line versus defensive line, DBs versus wide receivers. And now you get to compete with each other. And that's what brings people close, right? And so I'm really excited about the opportunity that we'll have against a good football team with that I know is well coached and with New England. And but every time we step out there is really important. This will be really important as well.
So that was all about the joint practice. How important it is to practice against one another and then compete against an opposing team. Isn't that what a preseason football game is too?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
He confuses me because he says the offense did not play because of the weather. The defensive starters played because the weather held up. He said that. I'll explain to you about a cut sheet, right?
Yes.
Cut 1 was the offense did not play because of the weather. Cut 2 was the defense played because the weather held up. That means question 1 led to cut 1. That means question 2 led to cut 2. He basically said two totally different things about both sides of the ball and then talks about how important joint practices are because it gives your players the ability to compete with an opposing team, not within your own group of guys. But that's the exact same thing with a preseason game.
Here's another problem with Nick Sirianni's logic there. And he knows he's wrong, but he still said it. I have covered these. I have covered joint practices. I have broadcast from the sidelines at joint practices. It is both teams collaborate. The Patriots and the Eagles will collaborate with each other on, well, what's it you want to see today? Well, we want to work on our red zone. And okay, well, our defense will be up. Okay, that's good. Well, we'll work some red zone too. Well, what are you looking to do today? Well, we're looking to do whatever it is. And they will collaborate and create practice plans and competition plans that they both agree on.
Controlled environment is
Correct.
The buzzword.
It is nothing to do with, whereas a game, even though before preseason games, coaches will talk.
Yeah, of course.
They'll talk, they'll chat, they'll not just talk about the day of, but usually the week of. They'll talk about how you're going to approach it, what are you looking at and everything, because they don't want to get anybody hurt or whatever. To me, Nick knows better. The defense, again, didn't know where they were going on Friday night on that field because the offense, that's the one advantage they clearly have every single play. They know where they want to go. The defense has to react. So on a bad turf, if you're worried about a bad turf, don't give me the fact that you're not playing offense because of that, but you're playing defense.
Which, by all reports, the turf wasn't all that bad.
No, it was good. They said it was really, really good.
So, again, we don't believe there's an issue between Sirianni and Fangio, but they clearly have different beliefs.
Yes.
You and I were just talking about this during the break. It's okay to have different life beliefs and still be friends.
Absolutely.
Like, it doesn't have to lead.
Wait. In 2024?
Believe it or not, we can have a
do that?
difference of opinion and still be friends.
Absolutely.
Here's Vic Fangio on why he believes preseason games are important.
A lot, because in practice, particularly in pass rush, you don't finish. We try and stay away from the quarterback, so he doesn't hit his hand or on an offensive lineman or a defensive pass rusher. So a game is when you actually do finish. A game is when you actually do tackle. A game is when actually everything's at full speed, snap to whistle. So the games are very, very valuable in developing players and also in evaluating players.
And
so
he's talking about
agrees with Nick.
He does, and he's
Clearly.
talking about the defense there, but you could say the exact same thing about the offense. That means the offensive linemen are used to, if I get beat, it's okay. My quarterback's not going to get hit because he's wearing the red jersey. Whereas in a game, if you believe somebody's going to have a clear shot at your quarterback, you have to take the 5-yard penalty, right?
Yes.
You have to get the holding call or whatever because you're trying to do whatever you can to protect your quarterback. The mentality of that is so much different. And same thing, you're going to get hit if you're a running back, right? So what are you going to do? You might hold on to the ball tighter because you don't want to fumble because you know that in training camp, you're not going to get tackled. You're just going to go through a hole, and the guys are going to do this and let you go. But in a preseason game, when there's a linebacker trying to make a play, they're going to try to wrap you up and bring you down. I get it. These guys are the best at what they do. Okay, Saquon Barkley is the best. I was actually okay with him not playing because he was going to get the ball handed off to him probably one or two times and call it a day. But there's just I keep on going back to the blitz pickup and the calling out of the blitzes, which is something that Jalen Hurts is doing for the first time this year in his NFL career.
And there's a big difference about blitz pickup, as you say, when you know your quarterback could get massacred.
Right.
Or when you know your quarterback's not going to get hit. Whereas, we'll go back to wearing pennies. I mean, he's not going to get hit. I mean, to me, Vic Fangio clearly disagrees with Nick Sirianni's view.
Right.
Clearly. I mean, and he doesn't hold back.
All right, we get your text reaction on everything on hand. Phillies reaction. Do you think they turn that corner? Do you agree with what John was told by somebody within Major League Baseball that they're kind of just going through the motions and they'll flip the switch come playoff time? Do you believe the Phillies can do that? We'd love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Also, when it comes to the Eagles, you're feeling that the offense did not play in the preseason game on Friday. Are you bummed out? Are you happy? Or are you relieved? I'm sure there are a lot of people relieved. I know Bill Colarulo was relieved because he doesn't want to see anybody get hurt in a meaningless game is what people say preseason games are. So we get your text reactions coming up next in this 6 o'clock hour. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
ESPN's Adam Schefter.
I always feel like that first game set the tone for the season. I know it's one game, and it is just one game. I said it before, I'll say it again. Like, it's one game, but I always like playing Little League.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic on this beautiful Monday morning. A great week ahead. And oh, by the way, I forgot about it until this morning.
What was that?
Mike Missanelli's back today.
Mike Missanelli's back?
Literally all week long
Nobody
last week.
told me.
You heard it during the updates that he's coming back on Monday. And then the weekend happened. And then I come in here and I'm, doing my thing. And I'm like, oh my God, wait, today's the day. So tune in today, 10 o'clock. The new midday show, the Mike Missanelli Show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. Bill's all fired up. We were doing the pregame show on Friday that Connor decided to ditch us for Phillies and vacation. How did you get that contract?
I'm
situated?
still working out the language.
All right, hopefully we see you on Thursday
He had some
for
language
preseason.
for you on Friday.
Yeah, hopefully we see you
Yeah, I'm
preseason
sure.
week number 2.
We'll see.
So another year of preseason. Pregame show for me, but I'll be joined by Bill Colarulo and Connor Thomas this year. Very excited for that. But coming up at 10 o'clock, it's the Mike Missanelli Show. He's back with Bill and Ray.
I'd like to thank my brother for more expanded listening to the station now that his favorite talk show host in Philadelphia history is coming back.
Yeah, but that's probably not till like 9:45.
No, Doc gets up earlier and listens. Pop. He gets out of bed occasionally. But for Mike Missanelli, I guarantee he will not miss the first segment.
Well, that's great. That's coming your way today at 10 o'clock. All right, let's check the text line, Connor. I know we have a lot coming in about the Phillies. We also want to get some reaction on the Eagles because I know there's a lot of Eagles fans and media members, too, that are probably like, oh, my God, these guys really complain about them not playing the preseason. I wanted that. That's what you wanted. I wanted something else. I was told that I was getting what I wanted. And then when it came to kickoff, I didn't get what I wanted. It's like Christmas morning, right? You're told you're getting the new Xbox. You wake up Christmas morning, there's no Xbox. All right? So you're bummed out. I was bummed out that the offense did not play because in my beliefs, and John, you've said this numerous times, there is no data to back up whether playing in the preseason or not is good or bad. Adam Schefter, we had him on last week. He said there is no correlation. So it is what I want. It is my belief that I like playing in the preseason.
And the last 4 seasons, 4 or 5, now this will be the 5th, have been the sit most veterans in preseason, the most that it's ever been done.
Right.
And 3 of the last 4 seasons have been the biggest injury seasons in the history of NFL football.
And I'm curious.
So there's no correlation. In fact, you could make a correlation that it's a bad correlation.
Right.
That playing less and soft tissue injuries are bigger than they've ever been.
Well, that's the thing, and I'd be
NFL.
curious, are those soft tissue injuries, but are they happening in the first 4 weeks? Or is one happening in like week 15, which
Well, that's different, right? You have a
so
soft
be it.
tissue injury, then it doesn't matter.
But I'd be
There's no
curious,
correlation.
if you could go to that data and then really specify the first 4 weeks of the season, because how many times do you hear, oh, it's just a continuation of the preseason? Not just from a talent perspective, but maybe from a health perspective as well. But yeah, so I was bummed out that the offensive starters did not play. Thank you, Vic Fangio, for playing the defensive starters, the majority of them. What do we have on the text line, Connor?
All right, so this is what annoys me about where the Philadelphia Phillies fan base is right now.
Okay.
Because these type of people are becoming more and more prevalent in the narrative around this team.
Even though they were quiet for a couple days. And now
they
they're-
were quiet last week.
And now they're back.
This is even further. Mark from Green Lane checks in. This is the first text we got this morning.
Oh, that was the
I'm
old,
going to Green Lane today. What are the odds of
the
that?
old stomping ground.
Yeah, you'll fit right in there. He says, I hate being this way, but when the whole team blows up, pitching horrible, hitting horrible, fielding for almost 2 months now, I really believe that the Phillies will not make the playoffs if this trend continues, and then
stop.
heads are going to roll.
Stop. Not make the
you can't-
playoffs?
yeah.
Stop. Come on now. You got to, you know what? I was with him. I was a brother in arms there. I could have met him in Green Lane today for a beer. And look what happens. You go there. They're not going to make the playoffs. They will sleepwalk to the playoffs.
Well, that's the thing. They will, because here's the deal. They're going to win. They're going to win the division. They have a 7.5 game lead over the Braves, 8 game lead over the Mets. Everyone keeps pointing out the flaws of the Phillies, which there are flaws. And 4-6 in the last 10. Before that, it was like 2-8 in their last 10. How many times have we said the Braves and the Mets have had every opportunity
They
to
opened
gain
the
ground?
door for them. They're 24-30 over the last 2 months. And they've lost like a game and a half lead. I mean, it's that's all you need to know.
It never reached double digits, right?
No, yes, it did. It got to 10 at one point.
Yeah.
To the Braves, it got to 10?
Magic number is 38 today. Okay?
Yeah, because the Braves lost again.
And the Mets. Mets got swept
Mets
this
have lost
weekend.
3 straight, yeah.
There are 7 full weeks of baseball left. If you believe the Phillies are going to win 19 games over the last 7 weeks, and the Braves are going to lose 19 over the last 7 weeks, or let's say the Phillies win 21, then the Braves only have to lose 17 over the last 7 weeks. Stop it with the division stuff. Stop it with the playoff stuff.
You can say, hey, I'm concerned for the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's
but
valid.
Going that far is ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's where some people in this fan base are right now, and it's absolutely certifiably insane.
That's insane, yes.
All right, what else do we got?
All right, Dave and Kate May checks in and says, good morning, gentlemen. I wholeheartedly disagree with the points on the Phillies being able to turn it on. The Phillies have shown to never win anything with this team. What makes you think that they can turn it on in the NLCS again and win?
Never win anything.
Well, that's the problem.
Come on, stop it. They were NLCS champ. They won the National League 2 years ago. They defeated the Braves, whooped their asses 2 years in a row. Come on. Never win anything. That's
can't,
nonsense.
if it's just about the World Series, yes, you're right. But
and guess what? If it's just about the World Series, I better not hear a word from you for the next 70 games. The regular season doesn't mean anything.
Right, then
so
you're
shut
right.
up if it's just about the World Series, or grow up and learn how to consume baseball.
Oh, boy.
All right, coming up next, we reset the entire show. I'm going to bring up something that you and I actually talked off air about on Friday, a tweet that Kevin Durant put out like a year ago that I think is something that we really need to think about. Also, stock up, stock down. Days on Garrett, remember he did that during training camp?
He did a nice job with that.
Well, now he did it after the first preseason game. The bad thing is for a couple of these names, they remained on the stock down list. We'll run through those coming your way around 7:10. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A rough end to the road trip. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. The Phillies had a rough end to their West Coast road trip. Looked like they were coming out of their skid a bit against the Dodgers, but they lost the final 3 games in Arizona against the Diamondbacks yesterday. A 12-5 loss to round that series out. Christopher Sanchez allowed 12 hits and 7 runs in just 4 2/3 innings of work. The Phils are off tonight. They're going to be taking on the Marlins for a short 2-game series starting tomorrow at Citizens Bank Park. They have 6 National League East contests at the bank this week. But Bryce Harper talked about the road trip and the disappointment of how the team played.
Not our best. Obviously, I think not playing where we need to be playing right now. But, just got to get home, flush this road trip, and take the good things we can, and just get going on Tuesday.
The Eagles are off today. They'll travel up to New England for a week, or a couple days rather, of joint practices with the Patriots. Then they'll play their second preseason game on Thursday night at 7 p.m. against the Pats. Oh, and over the weekend, by the way, the Olympics concluded. Team USA basketball, gold for the men's and women's team over the host nation of France. Joel Embiid of the Sixers is now a gold medalist. I'm Connor Thomas, reminding you that Mike Missanelli returns to The Fanatic today at 10 a.m. Listen live on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Tyrone Johnson.
I'm not saying he can't work his way back to that level. I do think Bryce Harper is Superman, but it's just, to me, it's too stark, the difference in how we'll criticize some stars and some others. It's noticeable.
Has plenty to say about sports in Philly.
When people say it's a tough sports town, my counter is, it is for some. It's not for all.
Hear Tyrone with Ricky Vitalico on the best show ever. Weekday afternoons 2 to 6. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hi, this is Norman Chaikin, also known as Norman the Floorman. My wife thinks she's an archaeologist. She keeps digging up the past. Okay, I'm done joking around. I sell top quality flooring at a deep discount. Stop by one of our showrooms in Bryn Mawr or Conshohocken, or schedule a shop-at-home appointment for no cost or obligation estimate. Visit us at normancarpet.com or call us at 800-220-RUGS for your next residential or commercial flooring project.
Norman Carpet is a small family business. Nobody over 5'6".
Summer is always full of fun. And this summer, FanDuel has something for every baseball fan every day to make it even funner. Is that a word? It is now. All customers get a boost or a bonus every day all summer long, only on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Wager requirements apply. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable bonus bets or profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including bonus expiration. See terms and conditions at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At Anderson, we understand the challenges of builders and contractors better than most. Here's proof from real pros.
The best service department is the one you don't need, right? But when you do, I know they're going to be there.
The 400 series has earned my trust to the point where we have put it in our own home.
When somebody says Anderson, everybody responds quality.
Helping builders and contractors craft their legacy. Anderson, the #1 trusted window and door brand. Claims based on 2022 Anderson brand surveys of U.S. contractors and builders.
That is a towering drive. It's going.
That's going to leave a mark.
Delman Brand. The crowd is already calling for the rookie.
No way. They're calling for a true veteran, Rand Spear, the accident lawyer.
I heard he's been going to bat for the injured for over 30 years.
If you're injured, don't settle for less. Call 1-800-90-LEGAL or start your claim online for free at randspear.com.
The Birds Insider Show, a daily 1-hour show focused on Eagles football with insight and perspective you need to hear. Coming up tonight at 6, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibilities. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. This is Kincade and Salciunas, Philadelphia Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 7 a.m. on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this beautiful Monday morning. If you did not dive deeply into the preseason game on Friday, maybe you had it on the background, but you weren't taking notes. Dave Zangaro did that for you. Around 7:10 today, I'm going to go through his stock up and stock down after the first preseason game. Remember, we ran through an article like this of his during training camp after the first week. And so we'll go through actual game action, the players whose stock went up, whose stock went down. Unfortunately for some, they've remained on the stock down list. So we'll give those to you coming up around 7:10. But here's what we're talking about today. The Phillies' disappointing weekend to the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'd love to get more of your reaction on that. I do know that there's a lot of people in the text line, so we'll check that out coming up in a few minutes at 610-632-0975. But the other thing about the Eagles, and John, I wonder if people even care.
What do you mean?
So
about whether
about the preseason.
Okay.
So
no.
I'm bummed out that the Eagles offense didn't play. And it had nothing to do with, oh, man, I was excited for my Friday night of watching the Eagles play. Like, no. I'm bummed out because it is my personal belief. Again, there is no data to back up my belief. There's no data to back up Bill Colarulo's or Andrew DeCecco's because I went head-to-head with Andrew last week and again during the pregame show about how strong he feels about not playing anybody in the preseason. It all comes down to the same thing. Well, if they get hurt, it happened during a meaningless game.
What if somebody gets hurt today? I mean, tomorrow.
Right. What if somebody gets hurt week one because of a soft tissue injury, or
because they didn't practice hard enough,
or the first play they get dinged up? Right.
Yes.
They have to take longer to get back onto the field than if they already got that first shot, that first smack of a helmet to your shoulder during a preseason game.
I'm floored at the mentality, honestly. And I'm a little surprised, I got to tell you, of our radio brethren, Andrew DeCecco and Bill Colarulo, because they're both guys. They're both tough guys. They're both guys. And I'm a little shocked because they both sound like they should be selling.
You sound like Sirianni.
They should be selling. No,
or
honestly,
Gabe Kapler.
On this take, they both sound like they should be ringing my doorbell and trying to sell me Thin Mints.
Right.
Honestly. Or maybe some Samoas. What are they?
Are you trying to tell me Girl Scouts aren't tough?
Girl Scouts, dude, they're walking through the rain and snow, man.
Not
that's
anymore.
tough.
No, not anymore.
No,
Mom and Dad.
my neighborhood, man.
Really?
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh, not
Come on,
ours. Now they set up at outside
like the shop or the Acme.
And mom's doing all the selling, and the girl's there on her phone. At least in our area.
Yeah. But John, it's like you're surprised by Andrew and Bill, but
I'm surprised.
I also wonder if it's kind of how I felt about the DH coming to baseball in the National League. I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
But it was inevitable.
Yes.
And it was going to happen. With more and more sports science or whatever you want to call it, I know that there's no real data to back it up, but I understand what Connor says. Well, less playing means less risk of injury. It's like that in any sport. I don't know. I think people are just kind of like, yeah, man, this is the way that it is, so why get your panties in a bunch?
It's not the way it is. And I'm going to ask you two right now to take part in a poll. I have a
your second poll of the day?
General managers or owners of football teams. They have a chance to hire Nick Sirianni or Andy Reid.
Who are you going to pick? Andy Reid.
They have a chance to hire Nick Sirianni, or they can go get Matt LaFleur from Green Bay.
Matt LaFleur, probably.
I would think so. If they, wait a minute. Well, they have a chance. Would they go to Cincinnati? Now, this one's a harder one. Would they go to Cincinnati and poach a coach?
Yeah, probably. They'd probably go get Zach Taylor.
They all know, so they know they don't know as much as Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni has a game plan that's smarter than theirs, that's more innovative than theirs, because they all played their first teams and quarterback.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes dropped back 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, now it was only a series.
Yeah.
Only a series.
And that's all I'm asking for.
But
I'm not asking for the dress rehearsal. I'm asking for a series to get some stuff out of the way so that come regular season week number 1, whether it's nerves. We played a clip last week. You may not have been in, or somebody wasn't in. All right, and that's why I'm
it's summertime, so somebody's not.
Somebody wasn't in last week. I played a clip from Brandon Graham, where Brandon Graham himself, 34-year-old Brandon Graham, you were not in.
That was Monday. It was last Monday.
34-year-old Brandon Graham, and I know he didn't play, on Friday, but 34-year-old Brandon Graham said he likes playing the preseason because of the adrenaline rush that he has for the first game of the season. He would rather make a mistake because he's over-energized in a preseason game where they can go back and work on it, where they can go back to the film room and fix it, or if it leads to a touchdown, it's just a preseason game. But that first bit of adrenaline, that juice that you have for your first regular season game, and you haven't gotten it out of you at all from the preseason game, you make a mistake, you're down 7-0, you're down 7-0 in a game that matters. But I think people don't really care. I think people hear us talking about it and go, guys, why are you talking about it? It doesn't matter.
Well, the only premise that I disagree with is the fact is, by the way, I think you're right. I think most people, if you're saying like majority, 51%,
yes,
would feel that way. But once again, what I would say to you is this, is that then you're telling me that Nick Sirianni knows more or has a better plan than guys like Andy Reid and Zach Taylor and Matt LaFleur. Yeah.
I think what they're telling you is what Adam Schefter said to us this past Wednesday.
There's no correlation.
Yeah, I'll play you that clip again. I just pulled it up. Take a listen to Schefter on playing starters in the preseason.
I've covered the sport 35 years. I've seen it done all different ways. I do not believe there is a right or wrong answer to that. It's just I've seen teams that haven't played anybody, like the Rams that one year didn't play anybody in the preseason. They won the Super Bowl. I've seen teams go out there and not play anybody, and then week 1 they lose players to injury. And you're like, oh, they should have gotten guys some work. And then I see guys play teams, or I see teams play players in the preseason, and a guy gets hurt, and you're like, why are they out there? Like, in all honesty, the media is just going to look to just say, okay, well, they didn't play their guys, and then they got hurt, they made a mistake, or they played their guys and they got hurt. My own feeling watching it is I like limited preseason exposure. Limited, very limited. I'd err to the side of caution. That's me, but I've never coached a football team before. Just that's me watching the sport 35 years, forming my own opinion. I would have my guys out there very little. Like, I'd have them out there maybe for a drive. They scored the touchdown. They're on the bench. And even then, I'd be holding my breath during that entire drive.
There's the limited. It's just limited. So do what Andy Reid did. Do what Zach Taylor did. Do what Matt LaFleur did. Do what, like, he's saying his plan is better. Nick Sirianni's saying, I know more. My plan's better. I got a better idea. He doesn't.
And then,
he doesn't.
But then Bill Colarulo, who's not wrong, will come back and say he's had the best record of the month of September in the last 3 years.
He has.
And that's not wrong. Like, that is factually correct. As a man that likes statistics like you do, that's a simple
and I would ask Bill if he'd want any one of those other coaches than Nick Sirianni.
Right, but you're doing mental gymnastics to prove that the way that you want it done is the right way.
I don't think that's mental gymnastics when best practices, Connor.
Why is it best practice? We just said the best record belongs to the Eagles.
Because I'm going to say is that I want my coach learning to do things like the best do.
And we just heard from a guy, Adam Schefter, premier NFL insider, 35 years of experience.
Yeah, but he wants limited.
Say it doesn't. He says he does personally, but he says it doesn't matter. Like, there's no correlation.
He said there's no correlation.
The only team that's wanted it, I know, shutting down is the Rams with Matthew Stafford.
And they won a Super Bowl.
They won one. Yeah, so they're 1 for 5.
Yeah, but like 3
in
years
the years
ago, right?
that this has been. Yeah, but still though, that was a nice Super Bowl win. And by the way, what McVay would tell you is that he's been to 2 of the last 5 Super Bowls, I think, or 2 of the last 6. And this is his plan, and this is how he does it.
Right. And Andy's won 2 of the last 3, and
3 of the last 4.
3 of the last 4, and he plays.
And he plays. So I'm just going to say, I do not see it as limited exposure. I think is benefit.
So
I agree.
I would love to hear from the audience at 610-632-0975 when it comes to the Eagles. Like, do you even care anymore? Like, when you hear this, it's not even really a debate because you and I are on the same page.
Sure.
But when you hear this talking point, do you even care?
I don't think the majority of people do.
Like, there might be somebody that goes, Andrew, John, I'm with you. I agree with you. I want my guys to play in the preseason. But they're not going to, so why should I get all worked up by it?
And I don't care. I do believe the majority of people would say, for God's sakes, I don't give a damn. Just get me to Sao Paulo. That's what they're going to just say. Get me there and get me there healthy.
Right.
And to me, I don't think scared money make money. And to me, like Thursday night, there's a clear track. It's going to be beautiful in New England on Thursday night. There's not going to be rain all week in New England. The starters should play because there's no reason not to. So there's no reason not to let them have a seat.
But you're a blackjack guy, right? You say
Yes.
scared money don't make no money. You're not hitting 17.
No, that's not smart money. So you got to do smart thing.
Well, there has to be a balance between smart and
what you got to do.
Scared.
What you got to do if you want to be a blackjack master is just do the same things over and over,
count cards
all the time.
So then
Nick
Nick Sirianni doing the same thing of not playing his starters over and over and over again, yielding results should be the way we approach this by your blackjack strategy.
I think he's gotten results. I think he's gotten results 1 of the 3 years that he's done that.
Which is more than he can say about a lot of other teams.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't. I don't believe, again, I think Nick Sirianni, much like Rob Thompson, does a lot of things well.
Mm-hmm.
Culture builder. People love, like, his players connect with him and communicate with him and everything. But again, I would do a pay-per-view to watch Rob Thompson and Nick Sirianni play a game of Connect 4. Because I think, honestly, I honestly think that would be fascinating, watching these two strategize against each other.
Tell me how that goes. You can pay for that.
We have really good coaches in this town that have great skill sets, and then strategy-wise, both of them.
All right, I tell you whose stock went up and down according to Days on Gara in a few minutes, but we're also talking about the Phillies and that disappointing weekend, and I know that's what the majority of the text line is showing. What do we got, Connor?
All right, so we have a text here. First-time texter, no name on this.
That's good.
Hello.
They said the Phillies' biggest problem is that they are a talented yet leaderless team. They don't have a Jimmy Rollins-like player, and that's part of the reason why they're in this skid.
Well, that's wrong.
Who is their
A
Jimmy
lot of these
Rollins
text
type
messages
leader?
are wrong.
Kyle Schwarber is the vocal leader. Bryce Harper is like the Chase Utley, lead by example kind of guy. Like, they have leaders. Just because they haven't turned the season around doesn't mean they also don't have leadership. When the Phillies were playing really well, did they have leadership?
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing.
Or did they win because they had more talent? Like, I mean, I don't think that they. I don't think that's as odd. Honestly, an odd question is, or an odd statement.
I think that's crazy.
How do we know that Jimmy Rollins was a leader? Because he was the guy that spoke a lot, right?
He did.
That's Kyle Schwarber.
He did.
And Kyle Schwarber has been, like, literally talked about since his time in Chicago and Boston and the Nationals that he was a great leader.
Do you think he is a hold other players accountable leader? I've never heard that of Kyle. I've heard Kyle I heard Kyle takes heat off of other players by being the guy who stands there in his locker and answer questions.
Which is leadership.
Which damn good leadership. Believe me, Kyle Schwarber. I'd love to have a Kyle Schwarber in my clubhouse.
Right.
If I'm an organization. But to me, I think there's different styles of leadership. I don't think they have a lapels guy. Now, I'm not in the clubhouse enough to be able to comment and say this is absolutely true. But I don't see that hold somebody accountable by, like, calling them out and saying this kind of crap has to stop. Because the sloppy baseball and the stupid baseball with this baseball team continues every series after series after series. The manager can't get him out of it. The players can't get him out of it. So there would usually be like a big-time clubhouse meeting where paint comes off the wall. Maybe this group's different.
Well, the question is, and look, this is a legitimate question. How often can you do that, or when can you do that?
How about doing it?
Right.
How about doing it?
But
then
we
can have that conversation.
Okay.
But do they? Here's the thing.
They
right?
need it. Yes, they need it.
We say they need it, but let's put ourselves in the clubhouse. You are a half game off the best record in baseball. There are two teams with 70 wins. You have 69. You have a 7.5 game lead in division. You are tied in the National League for the best record. If the season ended today, by the tiebreaker, you would be the top seed in your league. You have gone to the National League Championship Series and World Series in consecutive years. And right now, you are struggling and not playing good baseball. And that was a miserable end to that series against the Diamondbacks. But if you're in that building and you have one time to play the card of, boys, pull your head out of your ass.
Right, you got one chance.
Is today, on August, 12th, with a month and change left, or more than a month and change left in the season, where you're still sitting in a good spot by record, the time to play that card.
If it wasn't 8 weeks of baseball, this is 8 weeks of
been
baseball.
a while.
If this was 2 weeks, Connor, I am on your side. 4 weeks, I'm on your side. 8 weeks, that's ridiculous. This is, especially with stupid baseball. Bad baseball. And again, I got to tell you, Ruben Amaro Jr. is like my hero this weekend, because not many broadcasters have the guts to say how stupid a baseball team's playing while they're on the team payroll.
Yeah.
And I admire it, because it's atrocious.
No,
it is atrocious.
We're not debating that.
How this team plays.
They're not playing well right now. But this is the issue, I think, with a lot of people this year. Like, there are not really that many runaway great teams in baseball. There's a lot of teams right in the middle of the pack. And people are looking at this Phillies team and saying, wow, they could play so much better than this.
Right.
And that's absolutely fair. But you don't have to beat yourself. You don't have to play as great as you could play. You have to play better than the other teams. And we should hold the team to the high standard that they're capable of.
Absolutely.
So I'm not saying you're wrong at all, John.
No,
but I'm saying at the end of the day, your only goal is to be better than 29 other teams. Not be the greatest Phillies team ever. Not be as good as you could possibly be every single day out. It's to be better than the other 29 teams in baseball. I think to this point, there's still a healthy argument that the Philadelphia Phillies are in that conversation, if not at the top of it.
They better be in the conversation. They should be.
Oh, yeah,
the amount of money
Right,
the amount of money they spent in this roster, the amount of talent on this roster, they should never play the Mickey Mouse baseball they play. They shouldn't.
No,
it's unacceptable.
It's been a rough,
and the defense
not just
is
a stretch at this point.
The defense is horrendous.
So we'd love to get more of your text messages. You can climb in 610-632-0975. But, of course, we're talking Eagles as well today on Kincade and Salciunas. Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia put together his list of players whose stock went up and stock went down during the preseason game. So let's start with the happiness, stock up. It did not take long for Quinyon Mitchell to show that he freaking belongs in the NFL, man.
Look sharp, man.
I wish he picked that ball off so much, man. But the way he jumped that route and he read it right away, you go, all right, this guy looks like he belongs. Speaking of a guy that looks like he belongs, Nate Wiggins was spectacular, too. The other cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens. He was spectacular, too. There's another guy that we talked about a lot. Andrew DeCecco had him. I think that may have been his number one corner for the Eagles.
DeCecco loved him, yeah.
Because I think he thought Mitchell was going to go early, and so Wiggins was in that area for the Eagles.
And he looked damn good.
He looked really good. Now, all of a sudden, they got Nate Wiggins and Kyle Hamilton. That's going to be a nice little secondary in Baltimore. Will Shipley got a lot of love. Of course, he scored a touchdown yesterday and out of the backfield with a catch, too, which is great. And that's a weapon that's going to be here for years to come, as long as he can pick up pass protection, right? That's been the biggest thing that people have been talking about. That's an issue of his.
People are going to get really excited about his north-south ability, too. They're going to be excited about.
Yeah, just because he's small doesn't mean he can't go north-south.
Now, he's going up against second-teamers and third-teamers the other night, but the yards after contact were really impressive.
Right.
Really impressive.
Absolutely. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. had a stock up. He did make a couple of nice plays on special teams, also got a sack. My biggest reason why his stock's down, my reason, He didn't do the Axeman celebration.
Yeah, like, what is that about?
Bro, you get your sack. This is what I came here for. I watched preseason football for you to get a sack and do the Axeman celebration, which he did in college, but he gets his first sack in NFL action and he doesn't do the celebration. Stock down.
I personally was so proud of him.
Oh, no.
Because you know why?
Make your own celebration.
He wants to. No. I think what he wants to do is, I'm not worthy yet of doing dad's celebration.
Come on, his dad would have cried.
Or the preseason isn't worth the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I think he's holding that for when he does it for the first time in a real game at a big game, and I was very, very impressed.
More importantly, Hainsport, New Jersey, stand up.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm still going stock
My
down.
guy.
I'm going stock down. You got to do the celebration. Jalix Hunt stock up because of his dropping back into coverage, according to Dave Zangaro, went well. Again, look, there's some things. I'm not breaking down the film, so I didn't really realize that, but apparently did a good job doing it. Britton Covey is on his stock up list. He had a nice day catching the football, even though I still don't like. I can't put my bread in the basket of Britton Covey as my wide receiver 3.
No. They need something better.
As a returner, though.
No, the return is fine.
Really good last year.
Yes.
He's going to be on the roster.
He's going to be on. My question is he on the roster for one specific thing, or are you going to utilize him in the offense a little bit, which they're still looking for wide receiver number 3. And I'm not too keen on the idea of him being my wide receiver 3 just yet. I need to see a little bit more.
I think we can all agree on that.
And then the other two players defensively that Dave Zangaro said their stock went up was Keely Ringo and Patrick Johnson. Patrick Johnson had the strip sack again. This is in the fourth quarter, so he's going up against guys that might never play in the NFL, period.
I think one of the guys, honestly, from the Ravens, he dropped an Amazon package on my porch yesterday. He may have. They just cut him after.
Look, good for he's a special team. He's a special team.
Nice to see it, but nice to see it.
Yeah. And then stock down. I'll go through these quickly. Kenny Pickett. My only thing is they're not showing much offensively.
Okay, did you see a difference in quarterback play when Pickett left?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. And did you see the talent that was surrounding said quarterback less?
Yes.
So to me, that is the stock down on Pickett.
Okay. The other name stock down, Tyler Steen, which is a big one for the right guard battle between him and Mekhi Becton. Matt Hennessy, Temple Brown, unfortunately, on this again. Second time he's been on the stock down list. Albert O, stock down. And lastly, this guy's apparently just having a horrible camp. Anais Smith.
He's having a bad one.
He's having a rough camp. 5th round draft pick, they got him. And has been having the dropsies in camp and in preseason.
Can't have it.
No.
He hears footsteps or
this is
some of the assertion.
A little bit of a problem for Anais Smith. I hope the kid can turn things around because I was excited when they drafted him. But we'll see if he can turn things around for him in the rest of the camp. All right, coming up next, we'll get more of your text messages on the Phillies and the Eagles. And remember, Vic Fangio, we know he likes playing in the preseason. He said something over the weekend that made me laugh, and I do wonder if Sirianni rolls his eyes at it. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic, show 106 for Kincade and Salciunas. But today at 10 o'clock, show number 1, I guess it doesn't carry over, of the Mike Missinelli show.
No, I think you got to restart the clock on Mikey Miss.
Mike Missinelli returns at 10 o'clock. Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn coming your way at 10 o'clock. So we're excited for the new show to kick off today at 10.
I did a show for over 20 years, and we were at 46:37.
Okay.
When it stopped. So Mikey Miss here in his first run, probably around 2,300, 2,400 shows. I mean, seriously, but show number 1, he'll be rejuvenated.
He will be, so we
he
can't
will be
wait.
ready to go. After all the vacation he's had.
Two years and 3 months.
Sipping wine down the beach, playing golf at the country club. Come on. About time he got back to work.
So he's coming away at 10 o'clock.
It.
We can't wait. All right, so we'll get to more text messages coming up because Connor told me during the break that people are chiming in about the preseason conversation.
Oh, okay, good.
No matter what your belief is, I wonder if there are people that are just like, I don't even care anymore because I want them to play, but I just know with Nick Sirianni, they're not going to. Now, speaking of that, I want to play you another clip from Vic Fangio.
Okay.
So we played earlier Vic talking about how the preseason in his eyes is important because it's game action. It's actually tackling. It's finishing a play, which I think, even though that's coming from a defensive coordinator, also is important for offense. If you're a quarterback in training camp, you know that you're not going to get hit. You have extended time to create plays. In a preseason game, they are trying to bring you down, and you do not have as much time. You do not have the comfort of the back of your mind knowing that nobody can freaking touch you. They are going to try and bring you down, which even if it's just a series, it may shake off some cobwebs. But hey, that's just my belief. Here's Vic Fangio. He said something that made me laugh as to why the defense did play. Take a listen.
Well, we're just so new on defense. You know, I think our offense is returning 8 of their 11 starters, I believe. And although, you know, albeit Kellen's new, but most of the position coaches are the same on offense, whereas everything's new on defense. New players, new coaches, new scheme. You know, we need to play.
Didn't the quarterback say that the offense was 95% new?
It is. Personnel is not, though.
Okay.
So I think that maybe the only pass on that one would be personnel's not.
Okay.
So look, I just look when it's how you're.
But my retort to that is, all right, yeah, sure, A.J. Brown is here again. A.J. Brown's running a different route.
He is.
Does it matter if it says Brown on the back, Smith on the back, Anais Smith, Devontae Smith? If
that matters.
If they're running, no, but this is my point. If they're running different routes, if it's a whole new scheme, if it's different pacing, right? Like, you know that A.J. Brown, a slant route, you know when to get the ball out. So much of it is timing, right?
Yes.
It's not just, the guy's open. No, you have to see the guy open. You have to throw it to what the open space will be. And that's timing, and that's the ability to read a defense and all this kind of stuff. And I know it might just be for a series, but that one series might give you the confidence boost that you need, all this kind of stuff. And if he's talking about, if Hurts, the quarterback, is saying that it's a 95% new offense, why wouldn't you want him in game action?
I understand what it is. I do think, though, you have a great read on the audience. I think the majority of the audience, I'm betting, is saying, I don't give a damn, just get me healthy to the Packers.
So what's the text line say, Connor, to that point? Because I do believe that's what people are saying. Because normally, I feel like if we had this exact same conversation, let's say Sirianni was the head coach 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he would not survive here.
No.
Not practicing.
No.
Right? Like, no. He would not survive here.
And honestly, I ripped the first year of his camp, and then I was highly complimentary of 9 and 8. I think Nick's had a good tenure. That's why I wanted him back. But, no, he wouldn't have survived here.
But a lot of people, I think, just are like, well, that's what he does. So what do we got on the text line, Connor?
We have a check-in here from Adam, who says something interesting. I think this is a great way to look at it. He says, why do I believe the Eagles should play their starters in the preseason? Because they haven't earned the right not to. After that collapse last year, they owe it to us.
And I think that may be the more intense training camp. I think that has a lot to do with it. That, look, we crapped the bed. Remember, we played that clip from Paris Campbell. I think it was when he was on a podcast. It wasn't when he was with the media. And he said, I walked into day one of OTAs thinking it was going to be like, all right, welcome.
let's get comfortable.
It was
with each other.
Let's get to freaking work because we collapsed last year. And we have a chip on our shoulder. And apparently, like Paris said, that Howie was on the sideline during OTAs and was talking to players about, like, we're not doing what we did last year. And so that was a mentality. My question is, why can't that mentality continue into a preseason game? Why can't the mentality continue?
I think it can unless the head coach doesn't want it. And the thing is, it's clear that Vic Fangio is getting his way on defense.
Yes, that is clear.
So here is what I'm going to assume. Total assumption, do not know this. Good question for maybe a Jeff McClain or somebody. It tells me that maybe Kellen Moore is more aligned with Nick Sirianni.
Could be.
On an approach. That maybe if Kellen Moore, we haven't seen Kellen as a head coach. Maybe Kellen Moore is more aligned with Nick Sirianni. That if he was the head coach of a team, he wouldn't be playing his starters.
I'm curious to see. I'm just going to pull up their preseason from the Chargers to see if they played the starters. Because he was with the Chargers. Nah, I mean, Easton Stick dropped back 21 times.
Well, he did start like 7 games for them.
Well, he did, yeah, after Herbert got injured. But, yeah, I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's funny. The old school coach in Vic Fangio wants to play the players in the preseason. The new school coach, I know Kellen Moore's been doing it for a couple of years, longer than Nick Sirianni's been a head coach. But the two new school coaches are like, we don't need to play him.
And again, I guarantee you, like if you talk to a Sean McVay, he would say to you, I got all the data in the world to tell you why I do this.
Right, exactly.
I mean, so there definitely is something. Nick can't articulate it. Nick just can't.
Yeah, but
can't
inability to articulate doesn't mean he doesn't know it.
No, but the thing is, though, I'm shocked if you have data to say why you're doing something. That should be top of mind. Instead, he talks in circles, and he contradicts himself in his first 2 comments.
Yeah, he talks in circles about his hometown and college football and his brother and his father.
Exactly.
He just talks weird.
I just can't understand how he's not coached up.
All right, real quick. I want to do.
What's that? Why are you laughing?
Go to the Sound for Updates folder. Go right now. All right. Go to Friday. Talking to Connor, the producer back there. Go to Friday. Go to the Birds pregame folder, which the great Josh Safran put together. And then go
to Josh.
Go to Sirianni Week 1 2023 preseason thoughts. So, I had an all-time audio pull for the pregame show on Friday.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, because clearly you don't know where I'm going.
I did not.
I really appreciate it. Connor didn't listen. You didn't. Connor didn't even show up.
No, he left the state
He's
just
on the,
after
He's
not
on
listen.
the show. He's Hassan Reddick. He left.
Contract dispute, baby.
So, Nick Sirianni. This was him, speaking of contradicting himself, right? That's what you just said, which is what made me want to do this. This was him after the Week 1 win against the New England Patriots.
I'll definitely reevaluate some of the preseason stuff next year. I know they played the first 2 years we were here. They only played 1 series against the Jets in 2022. Maybe I should have played them, a series or 2 this preseason. And I already wrote that in my notes. And I'm constantly self-evaluating myself. And and I'm not promising anything. And I know y'all will remember this conversation and play it. And that's okay. But I have to I'll reevaluate that. Second thought, if I had to do it over again right now, I would say, I would have played the starters 1 or 2 drives in the preseason.
All right, you hear that? If I would have a second thought,
he didn't look at his notes then.
I'd do it.
Then he just ignored his own notes.
No.
What?
Slow down, everybody. He said if I had to do it again, I would play the starters 1 or 2 drives in the preseason.
Okay, there you go.
We're 1 game into it.
Okay.
No. That they're not going to play in the 3rd game.
I was about to say they have 1 shot left.
This Thursday night, that is exactly why. The weird thing is, I had thought he'd said something like that, and then I'm thinking maybe I must have been wrong. You pull it, that's good.
Because I made the point. I was like, we should have known this. Because when Jeff McClain's tweet comes out on Friday, I was at the Wendy's on Aramingo Avenue doing my appearance with the great people at Wendy's.
You get a burrito?
Right? No, I didn't, because I had one Thursday.
That was lunch.
I didn't want to
He was there
up.
at lunch, Connor.
So I heard Bill read the tweet on the air, and that kind of hit me right away. I was like, oh, wait. He did say last year
he was going to reevaluate.
He's going to reevaluate. And so I got, all right, he reached his reevaluation process. And then he didn't play the starters offensively. You're right, Connor. That doesn't mean he won't on Thursday.
No. He has to.
Because if he doesn't, then he's not playing him.
Thursday.
He's not playing him in week 3.
He's not playing him on the Saturday game on the 24th.
Let me ask you guys something. Like, why does he have to?
Because he
himself said
last year, he told us that, if I had it to do over again, this is what I would do because my guys weren't prepared.
He also said, I'm not going to promise anything. Like, he didn't say, I'm definitively going to do that. So, in other words, he said, at this time. Remember,
but he did the sandwich. That was the turkey.
Yeah,
he did the sandwich. Both pieces of bread was, I should play them in the preseason. No promises. But if I were to do it again, I'd play him in the preseason.
Right, and that was right after week 1 against the Patriots, where he was evaluating that post-game, seeing his team not play a great performance in week 1. Now, there was a lot that happened after that game against the Patriots. There's probably a lot that's happened since this team has been put together this year in the wake of that.
Yes.
So he's constantly
Here's the deal,
evaluating.
Connor.
I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but...
Okay, and I'm just saying, because there are probably people, here's the thing, when you say stuff like that, there are people in the car going, yeah, Connor, that's exactly how I feel. So I'm now going to address those people. Not you, I'll address those people. What you don't realize is, or maybe you should realize, the Patriots sucked.
They were terrible.
The Packers do not. So you were able to not play I'm not even going to say good game. You were able to not play horribly. They played horribly in week 1 against a crap team. You're playing a good team in Green Bay in week 1. If you play horribly like you did, you're going to lose.
And remember,
Totally
we thought they were going to be a good team. The Patriots, boy, they have a really good defense. They're going to be a team that methodically can just hang with you. They were a bad
football team. And the Packers aren't. I don't want to start the season 0-1. Forgive me for wanting a lot. All right, we continue the conversation coming up next. We get more of your text reaction on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to
The Fanatic on this Monday morning. We're going to check out the text line coming up in a little bit about all of our topics today. We're talking about the Eagles and their starters on defense playing in the preseason. Majority of them, like Darius Slay didn't play. But majority of starters defensively played. Vic Fangio clearly wanted that. Offensively, nobody played except for Mekhi Becton versus Tyler Steen, that battle for the right guard position. And I was bummed out by it, disappointed by it. We'd love to get your reaction at 610-632-0975. And when you hear us talk about starters playing or not playing in the preseason, do you even care? Because I think a lot of you just go, what's the point? They're not going to do it anyway, so why even argue over it? But before we get back to the text line, Eagles, also Phillies, your reaction of the weekend. Do you believe that this team that a lot of us thought may have turned the corner and they're kind of back to where they are with that 3 of 4 that they lost to the Diamondbacks, do you believe that this team is going to struggle in the playoffs again? And I saw a tweet that I do want to read, and I think we need to be on the same page about something, even though I don't think we ever will be, Johnny.
What is that?
All right, so
we haven't even talked about Joel Embiid.
I saw a tweet from Eggplant.
Gold medalist Joel Embiid.
Eggplant Parm.
Mm-hmm.
Eggplant Parm. What do you mean? He freaking won in the
What did you just say?
He won the Serbian game. No, I said freaking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't. Don't worry.
I thought you did.
No, we're good. We're good. Eggplant Parm is checked in.
Yes.
Which I like an eggplant parm.
I would have eggplant.
It's delicious.
Little lunch
like an eggplant parm.
right there.
He said he responded to, I think it might be, were you guys tweeting back? No, he responded to our video, the Phillies conversation. It's the same it's been for 3 years. Not enough bench depth, and they are awfully wildly inconsistent at best at situational hitting. They also probably overestimated their young guys' talent ceiling.
Could be true with Stott and Marsh. Very well might be true.
Now, here's the thing, and this is where I think a lot of people just aren't on the same page. And this goes back to the state of society that you're either on one side or you're on the other. He says it's been the same for 3 years. I look at that as a positive because they got to a World Series and they got to an NLCS, and as of August 12th, they have the best record in the National League. I'm not going to go, it's the same thing for 3 years in a row when they've had that much success. I also understand, though, there are people that go, man, it's the same thing for 3 years, and it looks like it's trending in the wrong direction.
I'll never understand being pleased with your weaknesses never being fixed.
Correct.
Never being
I get that.
Dumb base running, horrible defensive awareness, not getting your body in front of balls.
But then this is where you and I differ. And it's okay. I think we all have our own core beliefs.
Sure.
Those issues that they have, and they do, look, they're real issues.
Yeah, they are.
The base running is dumb. I hate when Bryce Harper hits a single up the middle and tries getting a double out of it. It's stupid, right? Those issues that you point out have not been enough to completely derail them to the point where they can't make the playoffs. No, they've won. They've literally got to a World Series in two years ago and got to an NLCS last year and were a win away twice. Now, their issues led to them losing those two games. But they were still, again, a win away from getting back to another World Series. So I can't just ignore that.
I got you. But when people have seen the end of a movie.
Correct.
And they've seen the end of the movie twice be the same exact thing, they say, okay, I've seen this movie before. I know where the formula of this movie's going. And to me, I just can't even imagine. I like being okay with not improving on what you're poor at.
But what if it's just the fact that they went cold also? Like, what if they don't go cold at the end of this movie? At the end of this movie, it's a different story. It's the bats stay hot, and they don't go ice cold for an entire series like they did against the Diamondbacks and the later part of that World Series against the Astros. What if the bats remained hot like they did against the Cardinals in the ninth inning and then all of game 2?
Well, they were hot for 3 weeks. I mean, honestly, to get to that point, they were hot for 3 weeks.
All right, so what if it's 5 weeks this time?
Yeah, that happens.
I'll find that hard to believe that they'll put that together, but that's just me.
That's what the Rangers did.
Let's remember how the Phillies got to the World Series, right? They were probably 1, maybe 2 swings away last year against the Diamondbacks. We act like, well, they went cold. They weren't even, like, they were close in some of those games.
Yeah,
now,
Bryce Harper had runners on base and had the opportunity to literally give them a lead, and he hit a lazy fly ball
and
to
in
center
2022, Instead, he takes that ball to left center.
And it's a home run.
It's history.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. It's not like you got smoked. And it's not like even with your team slumping, you were just no match for the... You played 7 games, and this isn't consolation for anybody. But the other thing you got to think about, too, is what are the adverse effects of changing the way this team plays? Changing the DNA of this baseball team. Are these
They improve.
Do they?
Yes.
Yes. Because there are times we've talked about the aggressiveness on the base pass.
Right.
And if you take that away, does that take away the mentality that gets you extra bases that may create more runs and significant opportunities? Like, there are going to be other reactions to you changing the hitting approach of this team.
How about understanding where the ball goes on a ball hit to the outfield, throwing it into the infield?
That should be worked on.
There is absolutely nothing that should be acceptable about that.
Neither of us are accepting it.
But it never changes. They're accepting it.
No. They don't always throw to the wrong base. That never changes. When was the last time in the postseason you saw them just completely throw a ball away that cost them a postseason game?
Trey Turner.
That's not throwing to the wrong spot. That's the shortstop not fielding the ball.
And
that's a totally different play.
And that is him.
And they won that series.
That is him. He can't even handle a relay. Is that there is a problem? They are a sloppy baseball team, Connor. They are a sloppy baseball team.
They can be.
Supremely talented. They give opposition extra outs, and they run into outs for the opposition.
Did they lose the World Series because they were sloppy? Did they lose the NLCS because they were sloppy? Or does it bother you in August because you get annoyed seeing the same stuff?
They got run because of the fact that they swing at pitches that are not even in the strike zone. That's why they got run out 2 years ago with Houston. That's why they got run out last year with Arizona. That's why they got smoked this weekend. They struck out, pop out. And over-aggressiveness on first pitches. It was bad.
It was bad. It was a bad weekend.
No, it's a bad 8 weeks. It's a bad 8 weeks.
Yes, you're right.
Not a bad weekend.
But do I believe this team stinks?
No, nobody said that.
Oh, a lot of people are saying that.
I don't believe that.
A lot of people are saying it.
No, they can say that they've stunk and say last 8 weeks. I think that's what they mean.
Do you want me to read you the text messages we have saying this team won't make the playoffs and they stink?
We'll get to those coming up. Also, we reset the entire show in the 8 o'clock hour. And something I love about Vic Fangio that we all love, his honesty.
Oh, yeah.
It also means a lot when he's positive because that means he really must mean it.
I would think so.
We'll play you the positive Vic Fangio reaction to some of the players in preseason game number 1 this past Friday. And real quick, congratulations to the Coffey family. Alex Coffey, who covers the Phillies for the Inquirer, her sister Sam Coffey, brought home a gold medal with the U.S. women's national soccer team.
Good job,
congratulations to the Coffey family. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas on this Monday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up at 8:05, and Vic Fangio's positive reports from preseason game number 1. So much is made about Vic Fangio's honesty. In his first press conference of training camp, it was, Bryce Huff's not ready. Yeah, it's not easy to move from cornerback to safety. Yeah, and it's just like, it's honesty.
Yes.
But that also should mean that when he says things positively, that should mean something.
Or does it also mean, too, that maybe he uses press conferences knowing that these kids live in their phones?
Maybe.
That he's trying to, okay, here's my challenge for him, here's my challenge for him. By the way, it's one of the reasons why he rubbed some of the players in Miami the wrong way.
Correct. Which, is that something that we kind of had that conversation? Is that something we should be worried about? I'm not worried about it at all, but it was clearly an issue in Miami last season. Now,
and he, if you watch the Hard Knocks, he rubbed some of the veterans the wrong way.
Right. I'd be curious.
Put your phone away.
To your point about these kids living their phones and all that stuff. Whereas press conferences like this 30 years ago?
I'm not sure because I can't speak to that.
So much has changed, right?
I can't speak to that, but
that was probably more of the norm 30 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the fact is, you remember Andy Reid press conferences. Andy Reid press conferences were dismissive, and Andy Reid also, his training camps were brutal, like literally brutal.
Yeah.
He's eased back a lot.
He is. He has eased back a lot. All right, so we got that coming up at 8:10. The Vic Fangio positive reports.
Love it.
From preseason week number 1. Today's headlines with Connor Thomas in about a minute and a half. But let's check out some of the more of the texts that we have on both the Eagles and the Phillies today, Connor.
All right, Anthony checks in on the Phillies. Anthony in St. Pete. And he says, I've learned over the last year this Phillies team that they can win on any given series and lose any given series. No reason to get upset over this and hope the winning version shows up in the playoffs. That's all you can do.
And no lies detected, except the fact that you have not seen in the last 2 years that the Phillies would play crappy baseball in July and August.
Yeah, it was the reverse.
They played it in April and May. I am much more comfortable with a team playing crappy baseball in April and May than playing it in the dog days of summer.
But you're also much more comfortable having a 7.5 game lead as opposed to being down 7.5 games.
And that is where I was sort of told I was nuts yesterday by a Major League Baseball player who said to me, he goes, the Phillies have ADD.
Right.
They got a big lead. They're getting a little distracted. He goes, watch them flip the switch and turn it on. Now, I hope he's right. Hope this guy's right, but
it's just amazing, right? Because we wanted a hot start.
Yes.
We got the hot start. They're now cooling off. We're upset that they're cooling off.
Well, it's been 8 weeks. That's more than a cool off.
Yeah, you're right. I think we're in such a weird place with this team.
Yeah, we're losing our minds.
They don't stink.
Right, exactly.
They're not going to.
They're not. They have a magic number of 38.
Right. They're going to be in the playoffs.
Correct.
Like, I can tell you right now, they are going to be in the playoffs. And I think if you think otherwise, you are crazy.
I think you're in the loony bin if you're even. And I had a couple people today that I had to correct on that on Twitter going, dude, are you really saying this? Do you know math?
Right.
They're going to win. It's just a matter of, whether they're going to win in October.
Right.
And we can't determine that in August.
Like, that should be the only thing that we talk about at this point.
Right.
I don't want to do it because I love seasons.
Yes.
But honestly, man, I kind of want to make a statement now that the only thing we talk about when it comes to the Phillies is the playoffs.
And what I would say is the last 2 years, the National League champion has shown you they were the worst team to get in.
Right. Succeed.
And they won in the postseason. So we know nothing in August. We know nothing. We know that this team is going to be there. What they're going to do in October,
we'll find out.
We do not know. But I would actually feel potentially better about their chances this year than I would in previous years. I would actually feel better because of the experience of the last two.
Right. I just would like them to get hot before.
So would I. And I believe we're going to see that.
All right. It's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
First, thank you, Connor Thomas, for bringing home me a book specifically for me.
It's not for you.
It's for Cooper.
He brought home a book, Never Touch a Snake, for our YouTube audience. It's one of those books where you can touch and feel the things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cooper loves these things. So, Connor, that was very nice of you. Thank you very much.
No problem. My whole trip to Arizona was you telling me to find a snake and grab it, which is not safe. So I figured...
I said be a man, touch the snake.
I figured to make sure that Cooper doesn't get brought up that way, I'd get him the book. But good to be back. And, man, our phone conversations went a lot better while I was on vacation than this one that Cooper DeJean had on draft night. I don't know if you guys saw this.
I did.
But this just came out.
It's unbelievable.
Cooper DeJean, who was projected to be a first-round pick, sat through the entire first round, ended up getting drafted at 40 overall to the Eagles. He got a phone call from somebody pretending to be the Green Bay Packers, pranking him into thinking he was drafted, and the video surfaced, and it's just, man, this sucks.
Hello? What's up? To who? Oh, I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Who's this? Wow. It's a prank. It's a prank.
That's horrible.
Like, come on draft night, guys, what are we doing?
What a jerk.
I wonder if that's ever happened before.
It had to be somebody close to him, too, I would think. I think that has to be somebody.
No, not close, but somebody that clearly has his number.
Somebody has his number.
Yeah, but like
His
you think
personal
about
phone
it.
number.
Like I'm not saying anything about Cooper DeJean, but let's say like he knows a girl from Iowa who just gave his number to one of her friends. I don't know. Like numbers can get passed around. It doesn't have to be someone that close to you.
I
That's
think
a terrible thing.
It looks like it happened to Baker Mayfield.
Really?
Before.
I imagine it's not like the rarest of things.
That's a terrible thing.
But that's awful. Like,
You suck. You suck.
Yeah, you suck as a human being. Seriously, you suck as a human being if you think, oh man, I'm gonna call this guy and like ruin his day almost. And oh, by the way, I imagine that happened on day one.
Yeah.
And he felt it day two.
Yes, and he was waiting.
So like that's pretty screwed up.
Yeah,
That's a
that's a
terrible
lot
thing
of
to do
money's
to
worth
somebody.
of difference.
Yeah.
Man, so people don't prank call the draft picks.
Yeah, don't do that.
All right, that's the shot. Here's the chaser. We got a fun story that we're going to keep an eye on over the coming weeks as Council Rock Newtown is heading to the Little League World Series. They're going to be representing the Mid-Atlantic Division in the Little League World Series in Williamsport. The hometown kids from the area. And Andrew, I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
You're excited.
Because you know why? I like that kids are happy playing
I love the
sports.
Little League World Series. It's great.
Johnny?
That's great. I bet their parents are very happy. I think it's
Sure they
great for
are.
their community.
Yeah.
That's great for their community and have a great time.
You going to watch?
If it's on and I'm flipping around, sure.
Okay.
Am I going to make an appointment to watch Little League World Series? I will not.
I will watch it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
You're gonna make an appointment.
Yes.
Dude, I got to be in front of the TV at 4 to watch it.
I love watching the Little League World Series.
I didn't say that. You're going to make an appointment because I'm checking you on this.
Yes.
I'm checking you both.
Yeah, sure.
You're going to send me a picture of you sitting there. I got to sit
I'm not
there
going
at
to
4
watch
and
every game.
Oh,
But like,
wait a minute now. Are you or are you not?
well, there's this Major League Baseball team that takes up
That's
some
what
of my
I'm
time.
saying.
Yeah,
what if it's a conflict with that?
No,
we'll
Phillies
watch
take,
that. It's
Phillies take
Phillies,
precedence.
but-
Okay, well,
There's
then
teams
that's
that take
it.
precedence.
All right, but then I'm fine
But
with
the way that I got attacked viciously, I almost needed to call HR by you, B-Gun, and even Tom Alvord was on their side, Connor. I was all by myself on Friday when we got into this conversation.
Well, listen, man, some people just don't love the game. That's okay.
I guess that's
Yes.
what it is.
or dad going to the pitcher's mound. Let's have that pitch. How you feeling, Timmy? Let me get my TV time.
You don't enjoy
He's
those
not
moments?
doing it for TV
Oh,
time.
sure he isn't. Yeah, it's good.
A mound visit is TV time?
Yeah, it's a mound
mound.
visit. Timmy, how you doing? Okay, Timmy, rear back and throw it. We got this scouting report on this kid. Come on.
No, but he's
talking to his kid, making sure he's
look,
good.
it's okay because you don't like it, so you don't watch it. They're talking about situations because, again, it's not like Major League Baseball where Rob Thompson just expects the players
I
to do
have
things.
seen these, by the way.
Yeah,
I have seen these dads that are
Yeah, and some of the dads go up there to be funny to calm the kids down. They're 12.
It's good.
Oh my God!
Enjoy
Wow.
it. You enjoy it.
John and Brendan Gunn.
And Tom
Against-
Alvord.
And Tom Alvord
Yes,
against
that's
the Little
good.
League World Series.
Let's do it.
Unreal.
Well, glad we have that on the record. Last thing we'll get into a conversation we had earlier.
Now, let me make it clear once again. I don't think they're going to lose the division. I think they'll be okay come playoff time. It's just nice to actually feel joy watching the Phillies, and it has not been a joyful experience. And when you think they turn the corner, they drop 3 straight, and they lose 3-2, which, okay, it happens. 11-1 and 12-5, they look lifeless.
Now, here's the thing. I think they have come out of it. And that might sound crazy saying where we sat today. I know you're laughing.
Over the weekend? Are you kidding me?
Here's what we do sometimes, right? We get caught up in the stretch that the team has been in, and we lose all semblance of the narratives that we've created over years. So let's think about things that we would talk about if the Phillies were, let's say the Phillies were playing well and those 3 games against the Diamondbacks happened. It is the back end of a 10-game road trip without a day off.
But
West Coast.
Andrew. They weren't playing well.
Andrew, West Coast. Yesterday, getaway day, going across time zones. We've heard many times that is a game that's tough for teams to show up for, whether you're great, bad, indifferent, whatever. The Diamondbacks are a team, whether you think they're better than the Phillies or not, they clearly match up well with the Phillies. Whether the Phillies are playing good baseball or not.
And they're red hot right now.
Absolutely. They came into that series after sweeping a series against another good team. So the Phillies, though, coming into that series, including Game 1, had won 4 of 5 days. I mean, before that, they were losing 3 games to every one win.
They had won 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had won, yes, because they won the
last
3
one
days,
against the Mariners, 2 against the Dodgers, and 1 against the Dodgers.
Yeah, like that's the thing. 4 of 5.
I would more say that they'd went, 3 and 4 in their last 7, but it's okay.
And I will also say they just lost another series. Okay. And that's now 8 of their last 9.
Right, but let's remember where they were at just like a week and a half ago. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find a series win. They couldn't find good games.
They won a few games. That's great. And then they went right back to where they were.
This is the same problem we had with you expecting them to win the series against the Dodgers. And I know they did. But that's, okay, coming out of a bad stretch into beating the best team in the National League besides you on their turf after that stretch, like that's unrealistic expectation. It's not just going to be switch flipped, they don't lose another series again.
Connor, they didn't play good baseball this series.
They played terrible.
They got destroyed the last 2 games of this series.
They had 6 straight series where they played just like this. Okay,
so now it's a 7th out of 8.
Okay,
but here's my thing. Like,
so it's a little.
I'm glad that you are in a much more calm place than I am, and as you heard in that clip that you just replayed, I don't think they're losing division. But I can't just sit here willy nilly and just go, all right, they're fine. They're fine because they played a good series against the Dodgers. They played great.
24 and 30 on a third of the season.
Right.
They did this the last 2 years.
Okay.
They did it in the beginning, not in the meat of the schedule. Whether that is, and I said, Major League Baseball player told me yesterday, you're nuts.
Yes.
He said they're distracted. They got the big lead. He goes, I guarantee you they'll flip the switch. They'll turn it on again, and then everybody will be like, oh, they're fine. That's what will happen. I hope that happens.
It will.
9 weeks of baseball almost.
Right.
Is not.
And you said 24 and what?
24 and 30.
Okay, and their last 8 games, they are 4 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not telling you the Phillies are playing amazing baseball.
No, they're playing terrible.
I'm saying they went from losing every series to, they just played a 500 stretch in a pretty tough spot.
If they had played mediocre baseball leading up to that 10-game West Coast trip and went 4-6, I'd get on the plane and say, okay, that's fine. 5-5, 6-4, I'd believe that maybe something was changing. I do believe they're going to come home and they're going to mop up on teams that they never will see in the postseason.
Yeah, but
that never will stand between them and a World Series.
We would have killed for a 500 stretch 2 weeks ago, and we just got one against the Dodgers.
Right, but it's
and the
always
Diamondbacks
how it plays out, right? And the way it played out was 3 No, it's easy to say going into it's like last year with the Eagles. Everybody would take an 11-6 season, right?
In the beginning, last year, 11-6.
Right,
okay,
11-6.
That would have been my floor.
Okay, floor. They reached the floor, but the way it played out was they were 10-1 and fell to 11-6. Yeah, we were begging for a 500 West Coast road trip. At one point, they were 5-2.
I mean, the Phillies right now are on pace to be exactly the team they've been the last 2 years in the regular season. And I would tell you that after this way that they started this year, that would be a huge disappointment.
Yeah, and that's totally fair.
They're on pace for 91 wins right now.
That's totally fair.
That is a terrible disappointment.
Exactly.
If they don't turn it around.
The reason they're on pace is because they played terribly for like 7 weeks.
Yep.
And what I'm telling you is this road trip, the second half of this West Coast road trip, or I guess 8 games of the 10, was not terrible baseball. And that is a sign that they're pulling out of it. And they're about to play 2 pretty darn bad teams at home, divisional games that they're going to be ready for. And that is like, they're going to play better. They just
you're
are.
Speaking in absolutes about them being ready for it. Were they ready for the A's? Like, I mean, you're speaking in absolutes. This is a series that they will be ready for.
Were they ready for an American League garbage team that came in the final series before the All-Star break? Maybe not.
That everybody else mops up on.
Oh, okay. It's a totally different spot in the season. Right before the All-Star break, is a much different spot. The same thing I'm saying about the final series of a West Coast swing.
I get what you're saying, but it's just
you can't speak in absolutes with this team anymore.
It's not like they were clicking on all cylinders going into this West Coast trip.
I'm not saying they are. Right. I'm not saying they even are now.
But you literally just said that you think they came out of it.
Yes. Do you know they're playing clearly, consistently better baseball than they were for 6 weeks. But it's not great baseball. It's not where they were.
The last 2 games were not even close to good baseball.
Right, it's 2 games. But then, the other game they got walked off on. They were very close to finding a way to win that game. A swing difference here and there.
And I'm not crushing them for that one.
And then that's
I'm crushing them for not showing up.
I'm not telling you the Phillies are playing as good a baseball now as they did in the first couple months of the season. Am I telling you they're playing better baseball now than when they were in the terrible stretch where they lost 6 straight series? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. And that's what coming out of it is, and that's what they're doing.
All right. That means they have to take care of business in this next week.
Right, but that's not the conversation. The conversation is, are they coming out of it? And they are. They're playing better baseball.
It shouldn't just be about wins and losses, but sometimes it is, man. They're and the way
they're playing 500 ball over the last 8 games. That's literally wins and losses, and they're better than they have been.
Okay, they played 500 ball over the last 10 games. They have lost 3 straight.
Yes.
Okay.
They're on a 3-game losing streak.
And 2 of them were pitiful dog poop performances.
And they were out of it when they won 2 or 3 of 4 against.
I didn't say that they were out of it.
I know. So why are you saying they're in it because they've lost 3 straight? We've got to look at a bigger sample size.
Because it's been 2 months that they've been in it.
Honestly, it's
2 months.
It's 8 weeks of baseball.
Okay.
More than 8 weeks.
Right. All right.
I mean, we're not talking about a short sample size of that. And more importantly, too, Marlins and Nationals, I got to tell you, is going to do very little to sway me and go, yeah, man, they're back. They went 5-1 against the Marlins and the Nats. Because these are the not teams. This year is about winning a World Series. This is not about mopping up on dog poop.
Look, if they mop up on them, that could be the best medicine.
It could be.
But then it will have to carry into the Braves and Royals and Astros and Braves.
That is going to be a stretch right there. That is 13 games. Braves, Royals, Astros, Braves. That's 13 games where then I'm going to be able to judge. Those are playoff teams. Every one. Twice with the Braves, sandwiched with the Royals and Astros. I'll then be able to say, on that 13, they went 8-5. And then they beat the Nationals and the Marlins.
Hang on, though,
I think they're back.
Because you just brought up 2 minutes ago about them playing the Athletics and how that wasn't the series they were ready for. But now we can't draw anything good out of series against divisional opponents.
No, it's not going to sway me. No, I said it's not going to sway my opinion of what they will do in October is what I said. It's going to absolutely make me feel better about where they're pointed. But the next 13 after that is where I'm going to be able to judge it. If they go out against the Braves, Royals, Astros, and Braves, again, they play those 13. They go 8-5, and they've beaten up on the Nationals and Marlins. Yeah. I absolutely will be in Team Connor.
Right, and you know how people will be if they beat up on the Nationals and Marlins and then lose.
Exactly.
Let's say they go 5-8. People are going to go back to these.
They're going to go back to where they are.
They can't beat anybody.
And they would. Right. And the Phillies would have written that narrative themselves, not us.
Right.
They wrote it.
All right, we continue all of our discussions today.
Oh, by the way, I like Nico. Why do I have to watch the Little League World Series when I can just watch my Major League team throw the ball all over and run themselves out of innings?
It's a good point.
You're right.
Good point, Nico. Hey,
nobody's crying.
John, you might watch better baseball with the Little League World Series. All right, coming up next, we get more of your reaction. Also, Vic Fangio spoke glowingly of 3 members of the defense. Again, his honesty is great even when it's negative. His honesty is even better when it's positive. You hear those coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils are headed back home. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by KS.
Why the rose petals were going from the elevator right to like one of the desks.
Those weren't for us.
I was, Ray was laying them down.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Welcome back, Mikey Miss.
Yeah, coming your way at 10 o'clock. We can't wait. All right, so Vic Fangio. We appreciate his honesty when he's talking about maybe the not-so-glowing reviews of his players because I appreciate that kind of raw honesty. I'm tired of being lied to in my face by Nick Sirianni, right, which is what a lot of the times he's doing. But when Vic Fangio finds a positive, he's not afraid to speak glowingly of the people that he's speaking glowingly of, and that's great because that must mean that he actually means what he's saying. So there are a couple of players that he spoke highly of after the first preseason game. We'll start with the guy that I've been enamored by ever since training camp started, Quinyon Mitchell. Of course, he's doing the smack talk with A.J. Brown. Everybody's saying how great he's been keeping up with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith when they've been doing individual drills, one-on-ones. Well, he did pretty well in his limited time on the field on Friday. He almost had an interception on the very first drive for Baltimore. Here's Vic Fangio talking about Quinyon Mitchell.
I thought he did well. He played both nickel and outside corner. He's a good player and he's going to be a good player. We just have to be careful not to overload his plate too much because nickel is a full-time position as well as corner is. And he's having to learn both right now, and they're two drastically different positions. So we got to constantly monitor that to make sure he's capable of doing that.
And that's fair. Like if he's going to go down as the nickel corner to start, which it seems like he's going to, right? It's going to be, we know Darius Slay's locked on one side.
And I think they're pleased with what they've seen from other but other players.
Right. Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers seem to be fighting for the other job. So why even have Quinyon Mitchell in the mix when he could just lock down your nickel corner to start the season?
I think also they say, why not give the kid a positive?
Right.
That he worked his way into the starting lineup as a first-round pick instead of having him sit behind somebody else.
Right.
Doesn't
Absolutely.
make any sense.
It's funny. You and I, Connor, when you were out on Friday, our man B. Gunn was like upset that he's going to be playing slot and not one of the outside spots.
Because he's a first-round pick and...
That doesn't bother me remotely.
Exactly.
Not if he's a starter.
As long as he's going to be on the field because they're going to be in a nickel package probably the majority of the time.
If he's out there as a rookie getting 50 snaps a game, 45 snaps a game.
Yeah, you're loving that.
Oh, my gosh, I'm thrilled.
Now, the other player he spoke highly of, and first, before I even play the clip, I respect James Bradbury a lot, man.
So do I.
So James Bradbury, look, I know this guy's got money that I'll never see. He's playing football. It's amazing. He's a two-time All-Pro. But think about it. He had the horrible season that he had last year. Comes back this year. I loved his press conference when he was very honest and said, hey, look, I came back. I'm going to do whatever I can to get on the field. And if they cut me, they cut me. Like, that will be their decision, not mine. I'm going to do my part to try to stay on this team, right? Like, he's going to do whatever he can. And that's why he's trying to transition to safety. So James Bradbury on Friday played 51% of the snaps. This guy's a vet, right? It
could easily have been like, dude,
I don't need this.
Come on.
He played 51% of the snaps, tied with Booker and Keely Ringo. Tiu Pelotu had 53%.
Easy for you to say.
Mauro Jomo, 57%. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., 59%. And McCollum, not CJ McCollum, played 65% of the snaps. So not many players on defense played more than James Bradbury, and those guys were rookies or second or third year players or guys that are trying to make a roster. I give him a lot of credit for going out there.
So do I.
And he's trying to play safety. And remember, Vic Fangio at the beginning of camp said it is not easy to go from cornerback to safety. Here he is talking about what he saw out of Bradbury on Friday.
He's doing pretty damn good there. You know, he's got a good feel for football, which has carried over to the safety position for him. I think he understands the game from a high level through his experience and through his intelligence, and it's helped him in the transition to safety. He's been doing a good job.
You know what Vic didn't say there, though?
What?
He didn't say what we just sort of pointed out, but I know he means it. This is a guy who came in and said, whatever it takes, how can I help the team?
Right.
And to me, you're right. The respect for James Bradbury, it's there.
Yeah.
I said to you beforehand, I believe it. At some point in this season, we're going to come in on Mondays and be like, damn glad they didn't get rid of Bradbury.
Right, I'm glad that they kept him, just didn't eat a dead cap hit.
Yep.
And look, there still could be a chance that he could get traded.
There could be. I mean, if someone has a crippling injury at corner,
right,
they may turn that into a third-day pick and be really happy doing it.
And I'll say this. If he does get released or trade, I'm not going to be like, this is a major mistake.
No.
I just want to express that I respect the guy that had a horrible season last year, and it looked like it could be done. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to help this team out. And Vic Fangio himself said it is not an easy transition. Basically shot down the reporter who asked the question. And Bradbury has since, according to Vic Fangio, really stepped up and looked good. Lastly, the linebacker conversation that we keep on having, whether or not they actually have talented linebackers. Here he is talking about Zach Bond.
He had a few plays where in New Orleans where the way they adjusted their defense, he would end up kind of looking like a ILB at times. Not a lot. And just from looking at those few plays, thought he had a chance to do it. His first few plays the other night, he didn't play correctly, but overall he's had a good camp.
So he didn't play great in the preseason game, but he's having an overall good camp, learning a whole new position.
I like it. I'm fine with it, too.
Now, I'm still concerned by that.
Okay.
Like, this guy's never played it, and it seems like he's going to be the guy, unless Nakobe Dean steps up, which he looked okay.
He did.
In the preseason game. The guy's still freakishly athletic.
I swear to you, I look at Nakobe out there, and I'm rooting like hell for him.
I know you are.
But I look at it and say, he's so small.
Yeah, we talked about that before the show. He just looks...
He's so small. He looks... But I know instinctively, and again, I'll tell you this, Kirby Smart said smartest football player he ever coached. So I'm going to tell you is that at a huge program, winning national titles, he was considered the smartest guy on the team. So hopefully he can make that transition.
And arguably the greatest defense of all time in college football.
Right there.
So we hope. All right, let's check out the text line. What do we got coming in today, Connor? Oh, wait, first, the tweet from our man D-Lo.
Okay.
Yeah, come on, man.
What did D-Lo say? Is it going to make me laugh?
Yes.
Okay, good. Tell me. Is he ripping Connor?
Yes.
Oh, that's even going to be better, too.
It's obvious Connor Thomas is taking a page out of Tyrone's playbook of riding with Brian Johnson with how he's oblivious to what the Phillies are.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because Brian Johnson went to the Super Bowl and then the NFC Championship game in back-to-back years.
Right. He went to the Super Bowl doing what?
Oh, he's making a comparison.
I'm just saying he didn't. Yeah. There's no leg to stand on with Brian Johnson. Like, I understand Tyrone saw something with Brian Johnson, and maybe Brian Johnson will be a head coach one day. Maybe we'll find out that was, Nick Sirianni trying to do too much, and it just wasn't the right spot for him. But whatever the case is, there was no track record of Brian Johnson in his position to say that he's going to be successful. I'm looking at the past 2 years of this Phillies team being a damn good baseball team, keeping the same guys, same coaches, same manager, same style of play, and knowing how this is going to turn out for this team. And I'm seeing people balk in a game of chicken that we've already won twice.
I got to tell you, I am feeling better right now as I look at this based on some of the recent things that have happened. When Connor's right about that there have been more. The losses haven't the last two did.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of games like the Dodger loss, get 5-3 in game one when Ohtani hits the 8th inning homer.
Yeah.
Didn't bother me.
No.
The first game in Arizona, the walk-off, didn't bother me. Like it was like, nah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
but
the last
two have been. I just can't stand the stupid baseball. I can't stand it, and it never improves.
Stupid, lifeless. It was lifeless.
And it was lifeless.
Those two games were lifeless baseball played by the Phillies.
I got to tell you this, too. Bryce played. We talked last year about Bryce taking a new position on and how seamless it was. It's not seamless anymore. It's not seamless. He's struggling a bit defensively.
A bit.
He doesn't instinctively know when not to try to run to the hole to get balls that are second baseman's balls.
Yeah.
There's things instinctively that I think, and again, I believe with him, he's trying to do too much.
Well, that's also
he's trying to put the Superman cape on.
Why I laugh at people that say, "Oh, first base is easy."
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
He's trying to do the Superman cape, though. I think with Bryce, I always think I'm always going to assume,
especially when your team's struggling.
I'm always going to assume that he's saying, "I've got broad shoulders, climb on."
Well,
that's what he's trying to do, even when it makes no freaking sense.
That's the difference between a team like Arizona and a team like Philly. Philly has a lot of Supermen. Arizona doesn't.
Yeah.
When Arizona's in trouble, guys play their role.
But you know what, though? In Superman movies, the bus doesn't crash. In Superman movies, the bridge doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
In the Supermen haven't shown up for 8 weeks. Have not shown up for 8 weeks. Even some of the better. I had a gentleman give me grief the other day about, I can't remember which one it was, about Zach Wheeler's getting a reputation. I said, a reputation of having a top 5 ERA in baseball?
Yeah, right?
A reputation of being, like, arguably one of the best. He goes, that contract's going to be a problem in a couple years. I said,
no.
He's got 3 years left.
No, he's going to be all right.
It's not going to be a there's people that are overreacting to things.
Yes.
Aaron Nola, people aren't overreacting.
Well, Johnny, I'll ask you this. When have you ever seen a superhero movie, a good one, where there wasn't a point where you thought the hero was a little bit of danger?
Well, I never thought it. I never understood in the old Batman series why the Joker didn't just get out a pistol and shoot him. Instead,
he's got something in his bat-tility belt.
Instead, he's going to tie him to the train tracks.
Utility bat belt.
Or why, when they had them all tied up, why didn't they just take off their masks?
Yeah.
And end their crime-fighting careers?
Yeah, exactly. That's all.
I never understood that either.
Bottom line is every baseball team is going to have time throughout the season that makes you question how good they are. The Phillies has prolonged a little bit.
It's prolonged for 2
way,
months now.
The Joker, one of the most thing, the Heath Ledger Joker, which everybody got excited about, everything. I've never seen someone chew scenery like that in my life. Overreacting to everything. Didn't like it. Like Jack Nicholson better as a Joker.
Just saying. That might be the craziest thing.
That's a take, and I think you're
you thought
freaking
you both thought I was off base earlier, and you're getting crushed.
Okay, well, we could put up another poll, non-skewed, and you will lose.
It wasn't skewed at all.
Drastically.
Not skewed.
All right, coming up next, what was the best Joker of all time, and why is John Kincade clinically insane for saying what he just said? Oh, my God.
Wasn't the Joker clinically insane?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you could play him after
you guys would be good friends. Coming up next, we check the text line heavy. Eagles and Phillies on the table. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Connor Thomas, and the Birds have a busy week ahead of them after taking down the Ravens in their first
Kincade and Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic. Real quick, I need to share something with my friends. I just saw a crazy story that's 5 years old.
What?
So, I have all these random things. I'm on the For You tab for Twitter, which is a dangerous place.
By the
I
way,
don't like the For You tab.
I hate the For You.
And there was an animated video that explained how somebody had been dead for 10 years and nobody noticed it. This poor guy was working at a grocery store and was fixing the refrigerators.
Okay.
If you're at a Wawa and they have the
giant walk-in fridges and everything?
And so it wasn't like somebody was on the other side feeding the fridge. He was going behind it to fix loose wiring or something, and he fell behind it.
Well, where did he fall? To the floor?
Yes.
But how high is the fridge?
Well, think about it. Probably,
okay.
These big fridges.
7 feet.
If you're at a grocery store, they're huge, right? You're looking up.
All right, so he fell, and what happened when
he fell behind, and it was during off hours, and he was by himself.
And he got pinned?
And then the next morning, he was screaming because he knew people were in, but they couldn't hear him over the loud refrigerator noises. Eventually perished. The store closed 7 years later, and then somebody finally bought it, and they were cleaning everything out. They just found bones.
Wait a minute. How does somebody know he was screaming? Because if he was screaming, somebody would have rescued him.
They imagine that he must have been screaming.
I got to tell
you,
I think this is a Snopes story.
No, I looked it up.
Well, that doesn't mean it's on the internet. It's true. I'm checking Snopes on that one. Because that sounds
People.com. You're Mr. People Magazine.
No, I don't like People Magazine.
This guy unfortunately passed away. He was in Iowa. That's crazy. That's wild. You know that show 1,000 Ways to Die or whatever? That must be on there.
I almost had one. When I used to, before I got into radio, between mortgages, I worked as a bartender and before that a bar back and worked in the keg room down in the basement. Did not have a handle on the inside of the door. So if the door accidentally shut behind you and no one was with you, you were stuck in there. And I had it closed behind me one time. Now, luckily, it was before other people had left, so there were still people around. But it was 1 a.m., and we had already basically closed the door. So I could have been stuck in there all night. It was cold down there. I don't do well in the cold. Listen,
and
it happens.
your phone probably wouldn't work.
I don't remember if I even had it.
I wouldn't think your phone would work in one of those freezers.
I don't even remember if I had it on me because a lot of the time you set it down behind the bar. Yeah, you just go in real quick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man, it can happen. There's some dangerous stuff out there.
So I just saw that on Twitter and then I looked it up and sure enough there's articles on it. It's terrible. And they were doing a missing persons report. He was behind a fridge. All right.
That's weird. That's really weird.
Back to the sports talk. All right, what do we have on the text line, Connor, about our Phillies and Eagles discussion? Our Phillies question today is, for those of you who thought they turned the corner, Connor still thinks they did, but if you thought that they turned the corner, are you back to where you were beforehand, and are you worried that this is going to lead to issues in the playoffs? Because the reason why I specifically say the playoffs, we can't say the ridiculous statements of they're not going to make the playoffs.
It's 38's the magic number.
That's not going. They're going to make the playoffs. So don't say they're not going to make the playoffs. You're crazy to say that. You're not crazy to be concerned about some of the issues that they have come playoff time. And then when it comes to the Eagles, the starters on defense played, the starters on offense did not. John and I are both upset by it. And I know there are people that probably go, wow, I would rather them not play. That's your belief. There's no statistical evidence on either side of the coin. None. So it's what you believe in. And what I believe in, what John believes in, is that playing in the preseason is important, especially because the best coach and best quarterback just did it this weekend in Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. My follow-up question is, do you even care about the talking point? Because clearly Nick Sirianni doesn't want to play his offensive stars in the preseason.
And I think the majority of fans would say they don't care. Because I watch preseason football. I found myself doing it the other night. By the way, I watched more of a preseason game than I've ever watched in the Sirianni administration on Friday night. I watched more of that game than I would watching it live ever.
Well, you at least had the starters on defense.
And it was interesting to watch. I was enjoying it. But the idea to me is I still watch it holding my breath. Every time somebody gets up slow.
No, of course you do.
So I imagine the coaches, it's much, much worse.
Right, which is why they don't play some of the starters. What do we got on the text line, Connor?
So we have a text here. I want to see if you guys pick up on what I did in this one, because this is interesting on the Phillies. No name on this, but they say 10-day West Coast road trip doesn't matter when they've sucked for 2 months. Wake me up in the NLCS, assuming the bats don't get cold again.
And I'm sure that person is not alone with the wake me up one. And that's kind of, I don't want to be there, but I'm tired of talking about them.
But do you notice when they said wake them up?
NLCS.
How many teams in baseball can say wake me up in the NLCS?
Not many.
Well,
4?
I think it's arrogant to do so, considering. And I wrote a piece for 97.5thefanatic.com today that'll be up there. And the two teams that have there's only been 2 years of this expanded playoffs, and none of the bye teams have advanced.
Right.
They're 0 for 4.
That means they're due, John.
Getting the NLCS. No, what I'm saying to you is that just don't. I think my whole point of writing the piece was nothing we know about any one of these teams means anything right now.
Yeah, as long as you're hot at the right time, and that's what it comes down to.
But the thing is, and it plays to that, but the Phillies and the Diamondbacks both were not hot going into the playoffs the last 2 years. They were terrible.
Yeah.
And then turned it on.
Took a 9th inning.
So it's like, but you got to get there and hopefully create the best.
And they're going to get there. Playoffs. Playoffs are getting there.
Imagine numbers 38. Stop with the, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a talking point that I don't want to have anymore. Like from here on out, if you get a text like that, Connor,
I disregard it.
I don't even want to talk about it because they're making the playoffs, and it's a waste of my breath to even say that to have to explain that. All right, coming up next, we get more text messages. Talk a little bit more about today's topics. Also, I thought this was pretty cool. Fox Sports, they projected the 2028 baseball Olympic team.
Really?
I'll go through that coming up next with you. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phil's fall to the D-back.
away from the return of Mike Missanelli. The Mike Missanelli Show debuts yet again. Show number 1 for Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic.
What if the kid's nervous?
Yeah.
Like, little...
He's getting called up to the big leagues.
Little nervousness, maybe.
I'm excited,
I would imagine if Mike's, when he talks to the audience today, I would imagine he probably says, I'm a bit anxious to get back to this.
That red light's going to hit.
You think it's just going to hit?
Yeah.
I think he's got to be feeling a little bit today, and I know that many in my circle are thrilled to be able to hear Mike again.
Yep. He'll be back 10 a.m. coming up in an hour, of course, with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. So make sure you check out the return of the Mike Missanelli Show coming up at 10. In about 8 minutes, I saw something. Fox Sports projected the 2028 United States of America's baseball team for the Olympics because baseball is coming to the Olympics.
Okay.
And, again, it's 2028. They're 4 years from now. So, like, a guy that's, 35 right now won't be on the team because he'll be 39 when the time comes.
Unless it's LeBron.
Well, look, LeBron.
He might be 44 and still out there.
He's still the best player.
Smoking guys half his age.
He's still the best player. It's amazing. And there's a lot of players have spoken publicly. Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani. They want to play for their countries, and so they want to try to work with Major League Baseball to try to find a way to make it work. Now, I don't know how you would make it work.
You cannot.
I know that
this.
the NHL puts a freeze on the season, but they play indoors.
You cannot do this. You cannot do this
unless you shorten the season.
You can't. Well, owners are never going to do that.
I know that.
So you can't have that.
I know that.
You cannot do this.
You do an Olympic shortened season.
How long would they miss?
2 weeks, minimum. 2 weeks minimum, and then you have to have a week. At least 4 or 5 days on each. You'd be 3 weeks shutting down baseball.
Let's just say 20 games. Here.
No, the Olympics is 15 days.
What you do then is you move the All-Star break to match up with it, and then
that's 5 days. Now you got 10 more days you have to have.
Right, and then you say if you want to play 10 days away from your team.
But wait a minute. Then you still have the All-Star break. They're not punting on an All-Star game. Baseball's not going.
I bet you that players would want to
they'd rather play for Team USA than for the National League or American.
I don't believe that the owners are going to say, "Yeah, we want that." They want an All-Star game. All-Star game is
you'll have one.
Is an ATM for them. When do you do that?
There's enough great players in baseball that you'd be able to put on an All-Star game.
Not if you're sending your best to the Olympics. No, it would be an All-Star game that would be an absolute farce. No owner's going to go for that. You can't. Oh, we're having the All-Stars without our stars.
I don't know, man. It would be tough for me to believe. Like if basketball was not an Olympic sport, I would say there's no owner that's going to let LeBron at 30 whatever play.
But this is during
it's off season.
This is during the season.
You're talking about shutting down a baseball season.
I got you.
So
it was shutting it down.
So the Olympics was 16 days. All right. So to your point, you do the All-Star break as 1 week. That still has you 11 days. But of course, the travel. Like it's not like a guy's going to finish his series against the Blue Jays and then travel to LA and play game one of the Olympics.
Why not? They do it for series against the Dodgers and the Angels.
Might. You're right. They might. So there would have to be an orchestrated effort, which again, it's 2 weeks. They might be able to do it. Now the question is, would you shorten the season those 2 weeks?
They'll never, and they're never doing that.
Would you start the season mid-March instead of April 1st, and then you do what you've always talked about, John? Maybe you could get your wish. The first 2 weeks of baseball are all played in southern.
You played in smart
teams.
positions. You played in the South. You played in domes. You played out west. I mean, it's
for the first 2 weeks of the season.
It makes too much sense. Or just the first 3 series.
Right.
First 3 series.
And then and then you can take that freeze. I don't know. I would love to see it. I think it'd be really cool. I just don't know how you would do it. So I'll give you the projected teams in a couple of minutes, but let's check out the text line on our Phillies and Eagles discussions that we've had going on all day today, Connor.
All right. Joey from Iowa checks in and says,
Joey!
The Phillies right now just don't look like a World Series championship team. I don't see it anymore the way I saw it earlier in the season. They just look different.
Yeah, they're not playing like a World Series team right now. That is correct. I still believe they are a team that could play in the World Series.
Yeah, my thing with Jerry is, or not Jerry, Joey, our next texter is going to be Jerry. How many teams have you seen at any point this year look like a World Series team? Like maybe 7?
Right, like I could make the case right now that the D-backs look like a World Series team. Now, look, they were in the World Series last year, and they're currently in a playoff spot. But the Phillies looked like a World Series team 2 months ago.
Like, for example, the Braves at no point this year have looked like a World Series team. Maybe that first series of the year.
Yeah, I mean, they except when they played the Phillies. They've done.
Yeah, but that's not
they've blown out the Phillies 4 times.
And we're not talking about just like one.
No, but I mean,
series
against
here.
the Phillies, the second series they did too.
I got you.
They 4 times this year looked like one.
No one has looked at that team and said, "Oh, that's a World Series team."
Because
like, there's
of all
only
the
a
injuries.
handful of, and whatever the reason, there's only a handful of teams in baseball at any point this year could say they've looked like a World Series team, and the Phillies are one of them.
Yep.
Is that not good enough for people?
No, it's not good enough. 8 weeks
I guess
of
not.
crappy baseball is not. No, that's not good enough.
Look,
not with their payroll. With their payroll and everything, to play this crappy for 8 weeks? No, it's not good enough. It's not. That's terrible.
No, it's been bad. All right, what else we got?
Jerry from NJ is bringing up, because John was talking about the sloppy play and everything. He says, is John not holding the pitching accountable when the Phils allowed double-digit runs back-to-back games? Sloppy base running and an error aren't the reason they lost by 10 runs.
There's definitely been some sloppy, but there has been horrendous. Their outfield defense has been horrendous. Little leaguish, the way that they go about things. I mean, and that sucks. Yes, there's just plays yesterday too, and Sanchez was not at his best.
No, 12 hits
to me,
allowed.
I'm giving Christopher Sanchez. He has been 80% of his starts. He has been fantastic.
Yeah, and
so
look,
I'm like, that's fine. I'll take it.
And Zach Wheeler's been tremendous, except for a couple of bad outings. Aaron Nola's been Aaron Nola.
Zach Wheeler's a top 5 ERA in baseball.
Yeah.
I'm not even his name can't come out of my mouth.
He's a top 5 ERA in baseball with 7 earned runs allowed 2 or 3 starts
Right.
ago.
I mean, I can't even like his name's not even ever meant coming out of my mouth.
All right, give us something on the Eagles there, Connor. Again, we're also talking about the Eagles today. Clearly, preseason week number 1 in the books. Your reaction to the starters on offense not playing, and then we led to a conversation about your belief about whether or not you'd want starters to play and whether or not you even care, because the Eagles, especially Nick Sirianni, has kind of given you the idea to not care anymore. Which, in years past, I have not cared about training camp. I've been very adamant about that on the air, that training camp has done nothing for me until this season, when I read an article from Tim McManus a week before training camp that it was going to be more intense, longer, right? Nick Sirianni made me not care about training camp. The Eagles this season have brought me back, Vic Fangio especially. But what do we got on the text line, Connor?
Eddie from Camden checks in and says, could not agree more with you guys about starters playing in the preseason. The starters not playing a series is like building a drag racing car and never test driving it until race day.
That's not a bad point.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to open her up a little bit, right?
And you know,
just not in the first 500 miles.
But then somebody's going to say, Bill Colarulo is going to say, well, if the wheel falls off, you don't have another wheel to replace it for 6 weeks.
That's true. You reckon like the pole position race or whatever, time trials.
I've seen Bill in the parking lot here. It's dangerous.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't think anybody's wrong. When it comes, whoever has an opinion on this, whether you want them to play or don't want them to play, you're not wrong. It's just I have a very strong belief of why I want guys to play.
Correct.
And I've heard players and a coach that's been in the NFL for 40 years talk about the benefits of playing in the preseason. And now all of a sudden the new wave of coaches believe the opposite. And somebody could, you've mentioned Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl. Somebody's got to win a Super Bowl.
Sean McVay, since he started the no playing his big starters in preseason, has won the NFC title twice and won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, he's going to say, what the hell are you two jabronis talking about?
Now, somebody's got to win.
You don't know what you're talking about.
We know the benefits, but we also know the risks. So I think it's a lot of determination on where the team is. Like, we had the texter earlier who said they owe it to us because of the collapse last year. I think that's what this is. Because last
I
year,
think so too. A little
both
bit.
of you guys accepted that this was how it was going to be. Starters in play.
I accepted it, and then I saw 4 weeks of bad football that led to 4 victories, which is great.
Right.
They played a weak schedule to start the season. They are opening up the season in Brazil against Green Bay, a conference maybe juggernaut. However you want to term the Green Bay Packers.
One of the 6 or 7 best teams in the NFC.
Right.
Clearly.
And if you're coming out the gate looking like crap, it's not the horrible New England Patriots. It's the potential top seed Green Bay Packers.
For the record, I want to see the starters play. I'm on the same side as you, but something that we could flip-flop so easily from year to year in spite of success that the team has had in the early portion of the season probably points to the fact that there is no right answer, like you've been saying.
Right. And look, we'll see. Jordan Love played. He only attempted 2 passes. He did throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, don't forget that part of it.
Yeah, he did throw a touchdown pass. Let's see. Is their offense clicking in the first half? Let's say they're done, right? That was the only action that Jordan Love is seeing all preseason. And the Eagles do none. If the first half, one offense is clicking and one is not, is it that simple? Probably not. But you bet your ass Monday morning on September, what would be the 10th? Is it September 7th?
That is the,
First game's the 7th of September.
First game's the 7th.
So Monday the 10th, I am coming in here, and if they lose, and it's because they were down 14-3 at halftime.
And they look sloppy.
I'm going to point out.
It's the 6th, by the way.
Okay, so the 9th.
We get to talk about it. Remember, we'll talk about it, Monday the 9th.
I will point out the fact that they didn't play in the preseason, just like I was complaining about them not playing in the preseason last year, even though I caved, because that's what they did. That was their mentality, even though we forget they did play in the preseason the year they went to the Super Bowl. We forget that.
They won game 1 series, right?
Yeah.
And then that was it.
And so, look. But they got some of the nerves out of the way.
Nick Sirianni said it the other night. Said it on the soundbite we played earlier. That he didn't play it because of the track. He wanted to give them a clean track. There is 0 rain scheduled for New England all week long.
Right.
And a beautiful night scheduled for Thursday. So I'm going to now hear him do mental gymnastics, as you like to say, Connor.
Yes.
Trying to come up with we didn't decide to play the starters because of this. If you're smarter than the room, Nick, just tell everybody. Tell everybody.
Here's one thing I'll say. With this projecting out to week 1 in Brazil, if they lose Friday night, and I got to deal with Captain Training Camp preseason they should have played
Captain Work
on
hard.
one side, and Captain Brazil and the game should have been there on the other side, I may be out sick.
You might have to.
Well, considering you called out of the first pregame show.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I would imagine.
No, he didn't call out. He's
I know
having
my worth.
Contract disputes.
I'm telling you.
And my worth is 1 vacation. I'll be there Thursday.
Good for you.
So I apologize. It was not Fox. It was CBS Sports. I want to get the right source. So CBS Sports projected the United States of America's baseball roster for the 2028 Olympics.
So they're assuming that for this discussion, they're saying baseball shuts down?
Yeah, because the players, it's just like football. So think about it. I know the NFL season is not starting yet, but training camp's going on. Training camp is going on from the start of the Olympics, and NFL players want to participate in the flag football competition, right? Tyreek Hill, we were saying last week, we didn't even say it on the air, he wants to play for Team Japan. He doesn't even want to play for the United States, right?
Right.
So baseball players want to be a part of it. Bryce Harper has already been on the record saying it, so has Shohei Ohtani, and so has Aaron Judge. So they projected what the USA baseball team could look like. So at catcher, it would be Adley Rutschman of the Orioles. Now, again, he will be 30 because it's 4 years from now.
Okay, that's crazy.
So Adley Rutschman would be catcher. Tristan Casas, the first baseman of the Red Sox, would be their first baseman. They do have a couple of potential, also considered Logan O'Hoppe. You know that name?
Yeah.
And Cal Raleigh for the Mariners as catchers.
Is Brandon Marsh on the roster? No, but no spoiler alert.
I don't want to. Yeah, we might get there.
Be.
No spoiler alert.
A couple of the first basemen, Alec Burleson, Michael Bush, and Xavier Isaac. So these are some of the guys that aren't even in the major leagues yet, right? Because they're minor leaguers. At second base, they're already going Jackson Holliday, who would be 24 years old. So they do right. Hey, I know he hasn't done anything to start, but he'll be 24, so he'll probably be entering the prime of his career.
Hey, he hit that one grand slam.
He did.
Put him in the hall.
Does he have a good walk-up song, though?
I don't know.
The Orioles overtake this team because Gunnar Henderson is the third baseman of note. So not Alec Bohm, but they do have him as the also under consideration. By the way, Bryson Stott was not under consideration for second base. So take that any way you want.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And they have Austin Riley with the Braves, third base. Shortstop, they have Bobby Witt Jr., which end it, call it a day now. They have a couple other players on there. End it now. Bobby Witt Jr. is your shortstop. Your outfield, Aaron Judge, who would be 36, but probably still a beast. Riley Green of the Tigers, and James Wood of the National.
James Wood he might be something.
Dude, I didn't realize he was 6'7".
That's a big dude.
I don't think Judge will be on the team.
He'd be on the team.
I don't think he will.
I don't think his power is going to go away anytime soon.
I don't.
Dude, this guy's a freak. And then they have Bryce as the DH.
Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say they better have Bryce at DH if he's not considered at first base.
Yeah, he's the DH. They would have.
They're looking defense,
and he'll be
they're looking
35.
defense.
Hang on, what about Schwarber?
No.
Well, how old is Kyle Schwarber right now?
Schwarber at 60 years old could probably roll out of bed and hit 40 bombs.
Schwarber's 30. Oh, so he's the same age as Bryce. They would both be 35. Yeah,
Put them both
interesting.
on the team.
They probably should. And then pitchers, they have Paul Skeens locked in as the number one pitcher, which I can't disagree with that at this point. But the other names, Logan Gilbert, Hunter Green, George Kirby, Spencer Strider, he would probably be on that team. Justin Steele, the Cubs, Tariq Skubal of the Tigers, Logan Webb of the Giants. How old would Logan Webb be at that point?
52.
Yeah,
seriously.
Logan Webb.
I don't think this was thought. I don't think this was thought out.
Logan Webb feels like he's been in the league.
It does seem that way. I would have guessed him 31.
Is there another Logan Webb?
Logan
I watched him in the
Logan
90s.
Webb's been in the league since 2019. Man,
he's like college players that you go. How many years of eligibility does that guy
exactly. So yeah, Team USA pretty good, but look, I would love to see it. I love the World Baseball Classic. Now, here's the other thing. What would you rather prefer? World Baseball Classic happens right before the season starts, and remember, people had a problem with it. I was pro. I love that kind of stuff. Remember, Edwin Diaz basically died, and it was because of the World Baseball Classic. Like, no, he got hurt. Would you rather do World Baseball Classic, or would you rather mid-season freeze?
I don't want to see a mid-season freeze of baseball. It's ridiculous.
Well, you would still get baseball.
First of all, no, you wouldn't.
It'd be Olympic baseball.
You wouldn't, but nobody cares.
No,
nobody cares.
no,
Nobody,
no,
it's not going to go.
Don't care.
No, baseball
don't care.
fans care about their teams.
Oh, Johnny.
They care about their teams.
If you asked, the Olympics is going to be huge.
Yeah, you
to
don't
shut
care.
down baseball.
Yes.
Do you see the reaction from NBA fans to what the Olympic basketball team did?
It's the off-season of basketball.
That's okay. If
so
it was,
they're getting. You're saying Phillies are playing great going into the Olympic break. Now we're going to shut down the season for 3 weeks. It's got to be minimum 3 weeks.
And then you start again.
Yeah, but we had this conversation about the World Baseball Classic. Everyone was like, oh, they can't miss spring training.
Okay, just stand for a second here. How would the owners do this?
I don't know. Listen, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fans right now.
I'm not getting paid enough to figure that out.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that this is why it can't happen. Because the owners aren't going to give up. Yeah, we're going to give up 3 weeks of games.
No, you start the season 2 weeks earlier.
You start the season March 15th?
Sure.
And
no.
play everything down south.
And down south, that's what you want. That's what
had that conversation.
You're not playing it mid-March. You're not doing that. So you're starting spring training in January?
It's Florida. Why not?
Yeah, it's
Florida
nice
and
down
Arizona.
there.
Like,
Come on.
who cares?
I was just in Arizona. They can play in January.
You know what you two are? I figured it out. You two are the kid running for class president that says, and no homework policy is my standard.
How
and
is that
free
at
ice
all?
cream at lunch. Because this makes no sense. This does
How
not
does
make
this
any
not
sense.
make sense?
Because you
can
can't
make it work.
You cannot. In hockey, you're going to play 3 times a week. If you shut down for 2-3 weeks, you have to make up those games. Baseball, you're playing 6 days a week minimum.
Doubleheaders, baby.
You can't do it.
Where's your imagination, Johnny?
Bring back the 7-inning doubleheader.
Didn't you ever have a dream journal as a kid?
No homework. No homework if I'm elected president.
You got to let your mind. I'm going to regret saying this. You got to let your mind wander a little bit to the possibilities.
No, his mind wanders far too much and
Yes.
too far. All right, coming up next, we continue our discussion. We get more text reaction. I'd like to hear some people on the baseball thing. Would you want to see? Because you're saying nobody wants to see it. I think you're wrong.
No, nobody wants to see it at the expense of baseball being shut down for 3 weeks. No.
Baseball would continue, just for country pride.
Yeah, that's great.
Are you not American, John?
Yeah, there you go.
It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A tough weekend in Arizona. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by
In Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Going to get back to the text line momentarily, but I've seen the photo like a million times, so I guess we have to address it. The Bryce Harper hair picture.
God, it's...
Listen, man.
Looks like Kramer.
He's going through a rough time, man.
He looks like Kramer.
Like, I get it, man. I feel him, man. If the Phillies are losing every single game, it seems like he's struggling a little bit. He had a better series against the Diamondbacks. I know yesterday he goes 0 for 2. He did walk twice. He did have a hit in every game before yesterday's game. So the bat's starting to come back to life a little bit for Bryce. He hit the home run in game 2 of that series. So that's important. But, man, he looks a little disheveled there.
Quite a bit.
After seeing another 3 losses. 3 straight.
Listen, man, last year I saw a picture of Nick Sirianni at a press conference where he looked like he hadn't slept in a month.
Yeah, what happened? They collapsed and lost.
I posted that, and I was like, this is what it does to you being the head coach of the Eagles. I can't go back on that now. Bryce does not look great.
So you think they are spiraling out of control?
Oh, no, they're fine.
If you're going based off of strictly facial expressions and hair.
And I got at least one member of my household and my wife that would totally disagree with you that Bryce does not look great. I can tell you
that picture?
She would be she wouldn't care.
Wow.
She thinks Bryce is a leading man.
Here's what I will say. As a guy with longer hair that was just out in the desert, it's not great for the follicles. So it wasn't probably his best hair day. It happens. Okay?
Right, so
that building's not great for the hair.
There's no humidity, so
you
what's
and Bryce,
the problem?
I don't know. It's something weird about the desert.
Your hair should be flat.
I'm not saying I'm the same guy. I'm just saying long hair.
You both play baseball. You got long hair. Like, you guys are so cool, Connor. You and Bryce Harper.
That's not what I'm saying.
You're hanging out in Arizona.
You're saying
Connor's got the
cool.
Phil Mickelson mullet.
If you
going.
believe that, that's okay, but I didn't say it.
All right, so what do we have on the text line? Our discussions today have been about the Eagles and the Phillies. The Eagles, the lack of preseason action for the starters on offense. We saw it with the defense, and we loved it. And look, the defense looked pretty good. I get it. They were going up against Josh Johnson, not Lamar Jackson, so I'm not going to get too excited.
See, I liked it. They didn't allow a third down conversion until it was 6 series, I think.
Right.
I like that.
Look, it's just good to see them out there.
I like that.
And that's and they got some reps.
Yes.
God forbid we practice and work hard. But I also know that people probably just don't care anymore because that's just the way that it is with Nick Sirianni and the Eagles offense and not playing in the preseason, even though they did do it the year they went to the Super Bowl. But I digress. And then the Phillies, just reaction to another bad weekend for the Phillies. A lot of people thought that they were out of it, and then they dropped 3 of 4, and the last 2 games were lifeless by the Phillies. So what are the people saying on the text line there, Connor?
So Nick from Northampton shows us the other side of the Phillies coin. I feel like this is where people think, like when I talk, this is what I imagine people hear. Says there's no excuse. That's Charlie Brown's teacher. There's no excuse for the poor play for the Phillies, but that will change starting tomorrow. Lock it in and book it. 6-0 homestand, positive vibes only.
Okay.
Look, and we were saying during one of the commercial breaks, 4-2 at minimum.
Yes, 4-2 is minimum.
Minimum. And I will probably still feel a certain type of way.
Tell you right now. This is my panic week. If they don't win 4 of these 6 games, I'm going to be not in a good place.
I'm feeling fine. A 4-2 week, I'll be completely fine.
Yeah, but if they go 3-3, I'm going to lose
No, I'm
my
not going to
mind.
be happy if they're 3-3. You should not be 3-3 this week. I think a 4-2 week, I'm completely fine with. No problem. Win, split with the Marlins and win 3 out of 4, totally fine. I'd be okay with it. And I'm interested to see Taiwan Walker. And I know you guys won't be, but I'm interested to see.
No, Connor is too.
I'm with you.
I'm just saying I wasn't really thrilled to see his name that he was coming back because I'm not really looking forward to locking in 6 earned runs. And remember, we were saying, wouldn't you rather have him than Colby Allard? Colby Allard did more in his last start than Walker's done all season long. Would I still rather have Taiwan Walker? Yes. I'd rather have Taiwan Walker than Colby Allard. That doesn't mean I have to be excited for it.
I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he can do and see if he bounces
would
back.
you rather have Cole or a bag full of rocks for Christmas?
Bag of rocks.
They both suck.
No, Cole
one's better.
Yeah, but Cole means you were a bad kid.
All right.
And they're trying to outlaw Cole, too.
What is a bag full of rocks
Maybe
mean?
they're cool rocks. I don't know, man.
Are they shiny?
I don't know.
We're such idiots.
All right, give us one more text. And I just saw something interesting on ESPN. Dan Orlovsky and how he ranked.
He's back from Seattle?
Yeah. And how he ranked quarterbacks by traits.
What?
I'll explain. What do we got on the text line? Give us one more.
All right. Check in here from, there's no name on this one. They say there's zero effort and zero sense of urgency with this Phillies team. I hate that all people are worried about is who's behind them. They aren't worried about how the Phillies are playing. They're just worried about the fact that the Phillies have such a big lead. While the Brewers are coming quick, the Phillies are almost out of the first round bye if Milwaukee and LA catches them.
The reason why I'm not worried about, or I'm worried looking behind the Phillies is because I keep on hearing from nitwits that they're going to lose the division.
Yes, because that's where it's ridiculous. That they're going to somehow get caught by teams behind them. Look, it's absurd.
The Phillies are playing like crap.
Yes.
But when people say they're not even going to make the playoffs, I look at the division and I see that they still have a 7.5 game lead over the Braves, who have had every opportunity during, 24-30? The Phillies have
24-30, and that is a third of their schedule.
During this stretch, the Braves have had every opportunity to cut it down to 3.
They haven't.
They're at 7.5. The Mets are at 8.
The Braves are also not missing center fielder, second baseman, best pitcher. I mean, the Phillies are doing this with their team. The Braves are not performing because they're missing second base, center field, best pitcher.
Yes, that's true.
That's a totally different thing, even though second base can't get much worse.
Right, but what I'm saying is they keep on talking about how they're going to miss the playoffs.
No, I got
they.
you.
The
They're
people
not
that
going
think
to
they're going to miss the playoffs, they're not going to miss the playoffs.
There's 7 weeks left. The magic number is 38. If you're math challenged, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't.
All right, Dan Orlovsky. Sorry.
I'm glad.
I'll tell you something.
Yes, I see.
Dan Orlovsky on ESPN.com ranked the NFL quarterbacks by trait. So a little bit different spin on quarterback rank.
By trait.
Right.
Okay.
So the traits are arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence, rushing ability, and second reaction. So that's 7 different things that he ranked the quarterbacks in.
Okay.
Out of those 7, how many do you believe that Jalen Hurts ranked in the top 10?
Well, give them to us again so we can.
All right. Again, those traits, arm strength.
He's not in the top 10.
Ball placement.
Possibly.
9
or 10.
Possibly.
If so.
Mechanics. Not in the top 10. Not in the top 10 mechanics.
I don't know, man. Mechanics
no.
are so weird, dude.
No. Go on.
Decision making.
Yeah, I'll give him borderline top 10.
I'm letting you guys guess.
Yeah, possibly 9 or 10 again.
Pocket presence.
Top 10.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I completely
top
disagree
10.
with both of you.
Okay, go
on that one. Rushing ability.
Top 10.
Yeah, well.
And second reaction.
Also, yes.
Yeah, top 10.
All right, so arm strength, he is not in the top 10.
Can't be in the top 10.
I don't know if he comes close. He only has 10 names on there. And again, this is Dan Orlovsky, who is
right.
This is all he does, is break down quarterbacks, right? So he does not have him in the top 10. The 10 he has Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Stafford, Rodgers, Levis. Well, again,
Will Levis?
Doesn't mean good.
Yeah, Will Levis throws bombs.
Doesn't mean good.
Yeah, but
just arm strength.
Okay, arm strength, yeah. Jalen cannot be in the top 10 arm strength.
Correct. Baker Mayfield, Anthony Richardson, Dak
Okay.
Prescott, Lamar Jackson. That's your top 10. I could argue that Lamar Jackson could be higher, but I'm not breaking down Anthony Richardson the way Dan Orlovsky.
Anthony Richardson also has a cannon.
Yeah, but so does Lamar.
Yeah.
Lamar flicks his wrist and it goes down 60 yards downfield, right? Ball placement, not in the top 10.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with that on the fact that he's one of the best deep ball throwers in the game.
I agree. I've seen him put it in windows.
He's one of the best deep ball throwers, especially sideline patterns, in all the NFL.
It's just one, but I think about the throw against Denver to Devontae Smith. That deep one.
I was there.
It's just unbelievable, dude. Guys don't do
incredible throw. Mechanics, he was not in the top 10, and I agreed with you, John.
He can't be. No, he's not mechanically.
He's not.
Mechanically, he's not. I don't think he's mechanically like you wouldn't put him in a video and go, here's the Tom Amansky video for playing quarterback on your.
And that doesn't mean he stinks.
No, it
like
doesn't.
Hunter Pence, I would never. When Cooper's growing up, I'm not saying, hey, look at what that guy did. But that guy was in the major leagues.
But I'm also like mechanics are overrated, so I don't use mechanics as an evaluator, really.
Look, that's fine because Patrick Mahomes is not on there.
No, I know. That's what I was going to say. I
don't
could
think
argue that Patrick Mahomes shouldn't be there.
Right.
See, I don't think
that
mechanics.
It doesn't mean they stink.
You wouldn't show Patrick Mahomes to say young quarterbacks do this. You wouldn't.
I would show
Not his
Patrick
mechanics.
Mahomes and say, try to be that guy.
No,
but-
you would say, man, he's an amazing highlight film. But mechanically, that's not how they're teaching the position.
All right, decision making with the football. You guys both said yes.
I said borderline top 10.
He is not on Orlovsky's list. Maybe recency bias. He was not good with the football last year.
He was not.
He was not.
He was not. That's
So,
bottom line.
Could be recency bias. He was not good with it last year, so he's not in the top 10. You guys both said yes for pocket presence.
Yes.
Do we not complain about him rolling to the right a second after he gets the ball?
I don't know that is to me. I sense now, I maybe look at the category differently. When I look at the category, I say that means he's a guy who senses the rush.
Yeah.
He doesn't get caught.
Yeah,
he doesn't get blindsided a lot.
He does it
That's
early.
kind of where I'm at, too. Like, I feel like he's not uncomfortable. Like, I feel when
Yeah, I
he
don't think
rolls
he's
out,
uncomfortable.
He feels like he's trying to make a play, but it's not out of, like, necessity.
Okay. Well, sometimes it seemed like, especially the second half of the season. Now, again, this could be the Sirianni,
yeah.
not seeing eye to eye with Sirianni, right? The offense. I would see him take a snap, one read, roll to his right. I saw that a lot last year, which is something that I would like to be fixed, and I think it could be with Kellen Moore and getting the ball out quickly. That's the other thing. Like, Matt Stafford's fourth on this list. Didn't he get the ball out quicker than anybody else last year?
Matt Stafford's amazing at getting rid of it.
Well, it's also the offense. It's
That's
Cooper
it.
Kupp, Puka
Yes,
Nacua.
that's exactly how they do it.
It's their kind of an offense.
He's incredible.
Rushing ability, obviously.
So Hurts was not on there.
He was not.
Okay.
No. Rushing ability, Jalen Hurts is on there. Fourth.
Okay.
Behind Allen, Lamar, and who?
Not Mahomes.
And Anthony Richardson.
Anthony
Gotcha.
Richardson's, and again, fantastic when he gets rolling. He's fantastic.
Right. And then the last one, second reaction ability, he is eighth. So he did get in the top 10. So
Okay.
out of the 7, he has them in 2 categories in the top 10. Now, does that mean that he's not a top 10 quarterback? I would say no. But I find it interesting that he's only in the top 10 in 2 of these categories.
I think it means that Dan Orlovsky would tell us that he does less with more. That he has all those skills, all those, he has all those guys around him, and he doesn't do as much with them as other quarterbacks would do.
Maybe I'll try to get it. I texted him not that long ago, but he's very busy at ESPN. I would like to get his thoughts on that, to what you just said.
Yeah, I think Dan Orlovsky's view, by those rankings alone, he's telling us Jalen does less with more.
And that's interesting because I would
Is that not? Well, you know what? Let's talk. More about this.
We'll talk about this
It's
more.
interesting.
Yep. All right. Coming up next is the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. Also, we have our crossover. Billy Colarulo is going to step in as we near the start of the Mike Missinelli show.
What?
Who's in the building? It starts at 10 o'clock. We got another segment to play. Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
47 on Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5, The Fanatic. 13 minutes from now, Johnny. Show number 1 for the rookie.
The rookie doesn't seem nervous at all either.
Ah, man.
He's like back there. It'd be like the 70s, like smoking a heater in the bullpen, getting ready to get called in.
He's Nuke LaLoosh, man. He's fired up, ready to go. For your Bull Durham fans out there. Today's talk show, my bad.
That is an old one.
Yeah, it's an old one,
That is
man.
an old one.
Well, you just said heaters. I don't know anyone calls them those anymore.
No, everybody
either.
calls them heaters, dude. Come on, man.
Yes, they do.
Dude, absolutely.
I swear to you, I'm. You continually amaze me how somehow you can manage to be older than me most days.
What do you mean? What now?
You have an older way about you. By the way,
I made a Bull Durham reference.
By the way,
fan.
I admire your ability to understand things that aren't your age.
Thank you.
But it's good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like smoking heaters. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't think that's an age thing. No. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad. All right, it's time now for the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
I do want to start with the Phillies because that was a horrible, horrible, horrible series. You win game 1. And this was my thing, John. I love that you saw something different out of the Phillies. Game 3 against the Mariners, that series against the Dodgers. And look, they won. They took 2 or 3 against the Dodgers. I can't poo-poo that.
In last 2 against Mariners and then 3 against the Dodgers, I'm like, okay, they've turned a corner. Then they win the opening game against Arizona.
And when they won the opening game,
look like they're on a little bit of a roll.
When they win the opening game, I'm like, all right. And that was the Allard start, right? Like they still had Zach Wheeler. They still had Aaron Nola. They still had Christopher Sanchez. So we're sitting here Friday morning, you and I going, oh my God, well, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to split.
Yes.
It would be great if they take 3 or 4.
Win the season series.
Right. It would be great if they take 3 or 4. Hell, maybe they could sweep because it's Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez the rest of the way. They lost games 2, 3, and 4. And that's why I was not ready to say that they turned the corner. Now, let me make it clear once again. I don't think they're going to lose the division. I think they'll be okay come playoff time. It's just nice to actually feel joy watching the Phillies, and it has not been a joyful experience. And when you think they turn the corner, they drop 3 straight, and they lose 3-2, which, okay, it happens. 11-1 and 12-5, they look lifeless.
They look lifeless, and more importantly, terrible defense. Absolutely horrendous defense played. A lot of mistakes.
I know there's a lot of Eagles fans and media members, too, that are probably like, oh, my God, these guys really complain about them not playing the preseason. I wanted that. That's what you wanted. I wanted something else. I was told that I was getting what I wanted. And then when it came to kickoff, I didn't get what I wanted. It's like Christmas morning, right? You're told you're getting the new Xbox. You wake up Christmas morning, there's no Xbox. So you're bummed out. I was bummed out that the offense did not play because in my beliefs, and John, you've said this numerous times, there is no data to back up whether playing in the preseason or not is good or bad. Adam Schefter, we had him on last week. He said there is no correlation. So it is what I want. It is my belief that I like playing in the preseason.
And the last 4 seasons, now this will be the 5th, have been the sit most veterans in preseason, the most that it's ever been done.
Right.
And 3 of the last 4 seasons have been the biggest injury seasons in the history of NFL football.
And I'm curious.
So there's no correlation. In fact, you could make a correlation that it's a bad correlation.
Right.
That playing less and soft tissue injuries are bigger than they've ever been.
Well, that's the thing. But yeah, so I was bummed out that the offensive starters did not play. Thank you, Vic Fangio, for playing the defensive starters, the majority of them.
I had a Major League Baseball player I spoke to yesterday, had a little conversation with, who said to me, though, something that made me feel good.
Okay.
He told me, he said, John, he goes, you know what the Phillies are, and he believes they have ADD right now. He thinks getting out to the big league, and with the Braves and the Mets not able to really muster any kind of real charge at them, he thinks that they're sort of hit a lethargy. He said, you already know what that roster can do when the lights are brightest in prime time. They can go out and put together a 2-week streak, 2.5-week streak, where they look like world beaters. He said they tend to respond well to that. He guaranteed me that it's going to happen again. And I know enough people around baseball that have always told me that about this Phillies team. The way they showed against the Braves the last 2 years just shows they have the DNA to go, yeah, we don't care what our record is or whatever. Oh, bright lights, we can show up and we can do it. I thought they'd win the division in the spring. I think they're going to win it in the fall. But it's about winning in October. And when you're playing 24-30 over 2 months, that's bad. That's bad.
And they haven't turned the corner, and they showed that.
Again, a Major League Baseball player saying to me yesterday, though, he goes, you're out of your mind. This team's so good. He thinks the big lead has given them like ADD.
All right, that's the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show. And now for the next 3 minutes, we get to hang out with Bill Colarulo, who will be beginning a new journey of his life.
Oh, yes.
Alongside Ray Dunn and Mike Missinelli. What's up, Billy?
What's going on, boys? A pretty big day here at the Fanatic.
Well, I shouldn't bury the lead. You're beginning a new journey doing the pregame show with me and Connor.
Hell yeah.
That, I shouldn't bury
that
the
is,
lead.
yes.
And then you're doing the show with Mike.
Yes, working with a legend in Mike Missinelli. Parallels working with Andrew and Connor.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, congratulations. This is exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys start at 10 o'clock. What do you guys got coming up on the show today?
It's going to be a great day. Look, Mike hasn't been here in 2 years and 3 months, as he said with you guys last week. There's a lot for him to talk about, a lot of things he hasn't been able to react to. So we're going to kind of look back at some things that he hasn't had a chance yet to weigh in on. So it should be fun. A lot of Eagles talk, obviously, and then Philadelphia Phillies, man. What is going on? So we'll get into that as well.
Well, did you skip around the room all happy that the starters didn't play on Friday?
I was
offensively?
extremely happy with what they decided.
They better have a good first half against the Packers.
Would you
They
rather
better come out.
Would you rather what Andy Reid did? Get his starting wide receiver injured?
Oh, Hollywood Brown, who's always injured?
You mean, yes. Who gets injured like
how's Patrick Mahomes doing?
Well, good thing, though.
How's that dynasty
Good thing Hollywood
doing?
Brown is out because of a preseason game. That was smart.
Yes.
Okay, and if you got hurt week 1, it's the same thing, in my opinion. It's 2 weeks removed. Like, I get it, dude. I get everybody's fearful of injuries in the preseason. Injuries will happen in football, period, no matter what week it is. It's just you can go to bed at night, you yourself. Oh, at least it happened in week 1 in the first quarter as opposed to the preseason game.
It's about risk reward for me. I just don't think the risk of playing one series in a preseason game has enough reward for you to take that risk. In a regular season game, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Billy?
You guys
have fun
enjoy the first game of the journey.
Yes. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully
it's like
everyone tunes in.
162. Don't burn out the bullpen on day 1.
Well, yeah, exactly.
The by the way, poll did come in.
Oh, yeah,
Final?
we never got to it. I'm sorry.
Final, quickly.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to read it. Let me pull
Oh,
that
I do.
up
I'll
here.
read it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the question from us, is the more talented baseball team the better baseball team? In a walloping 77%, no, it's not.
And I'm still taking the Phillies over the D-backs.
The better baseball team is the team that wins and the team that puts up. The talented baseball team looks good in stats. Appreciate you people.
I don't know what planet we're on anymore.
Appreciate you people.
Let's move on to Tuesday.
Hey!
Appreciate the ACR for me.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning. Great folks there. Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. I want you to do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof. Cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody have a great rest of your day. The Mike Missinelli Show coming your way next. Wow, have I ever said that before?
I bet he's nervous.
Maybe I have. All right.